Good evening. Welcome to yet another episode. How could it be possible of the show known as the Power Hour? I am Steve, and my partner tonight, at least for the moment, is the lovely, the talented Russian Blue, or as we called her on Saturday at the Derby, Queen Titania.
Hey girl, hey.
So well, that was I don't know really how to say what went down on Saturday evening uh at the roller derby. It was violent. I mean, it seemed like it was more violent than ever, and as we surmise, somebody died. Can you elaborate on the level of violence?
I don't know what you expected considering one of the teams was called Brute Force. But as expected, Brute Force could not pull off a win because you can't just have brute strength, you also have to have a strategy.
A little
So,
finesse, as you would say. And
yes,
speaking
a little fairy dust.
a little fairy dust. And
Yeah.
speaking of fairy dust and finesse, let us welcome our favorite superhero to the show and our special guest star tonight. Not only is he a fantastic wrestler, a exemplary student, uh, superhero, now fantasy football commissioner, as we will get into a little later. It is, of course, the one, the only, the incomparable Kid Lat.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having me
Hello,
again.
hello.
We're a
Hello.
little slow out of the gate tonight, kid. So what we're gonna do is because Russian Blue has got to leave early, and let's be honest, Russian Blue doesn't give a fuck about football, and I know she doesn't give a fuck about football. So we're gonna take care of some knockout business, and then as people come in, I'm still waiting for Red, I'm still waiting for Rion. So as people come in, we will talk a little bit about football. But for now, if you have any opinions about roller derby, you may exercise your freedom of speech at any time you'd like, okay?
All right, awesome. Sounds like a plan.
I love the laid back Kid Lat look. I mean, you're kind of in your hat, the mask is kind of on. I feel like maybe you don't have any pants on at this point.
No comment on that. You
Uh-uh.
know,
Got to keep those ladies guessing. Got to keep them guessing. All right. So
yes, sir.
as we were saying before the arrival of our resident superhero, yes, Brute Force certainly a team name to be lived up to. I was okay until somebody was killed because that's technically,
Yeah.
I want to say manslaughter, but that doesn't really apply here. There was blood everywhere. I still can't wrap my head around that there was a death right next door to the Homewood police station.
I know. And no ambulances. I mean, it was a no snitching situation. We just moved
Carried
that
the
body
dragon out like a
and
sack of
finished the
dirt.
bout. What's that?
Carried the dragon out like a sack of bricks.
I mean, you have to slay the dragon in every fairy tale. So
I
we
mean,
slayed the dragon. We won the bout.
you slayed the fuckery right out of that dragon, and that was a
Mar-
lot of green blood.
Marley slew the fuck out of that dragon.
Yeah, Marley was, and Marley and the dragon had animosity the whole night. So the
Mhm.
fact that shenanigans happened, it doesn't surprise me. But here's my question to you, Russian. You've been in roller derby for many moons now, yes?
Yes.
And there's a
Many
lot
moons.
of people,
About 9 moons, if
9 moons.
moons are a
That's a
year.
lot of moons. That's more than
Yeah.
a moon. It's a space station. But the point is, there's all sorts of facets of people that are involved in a bout, and everybody does their job. We've got a whole list. I've got a whole list here of the people that make up the police agency that monitors, fair play
You
in
mean
town.
Team No Fun?
We've got multiple pack refs. We've got
Hmm.
multiple jam refs. We've
Yes.
got a penalty keeper in the good Lord himself, Judgment Dave. We have an outside ref. And then we have a myriad of fight refs. And let's not forget the Bell Babe. The Bell Babe was there looking dapper as always, as was T-Bird. But let's talk about the fight refs because
Okay.
I kind of feel like the fight refs didn't do their fucking jobs. They're supposed
I
to break
mean,
up the fights.
I mean, Rion kind of brought it on himself. He bumped again. So
Was Hot Rod Daddy Andy drunk?
No,
He did nothing.
that's not even true.
In fact, he instigated some of the shenanigans.
I believe it, but I mean, he tried to break up my fight, and did you think that for 1 second that I was going to let him tell me no?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering his sanity when he got in the middle of your fight. I mean, he at the end of the night, he's got to ride home with you, and that just seems like a bad situation for everybody involved.
Yes, exactly. No, the fight refs, I think, did the best they could with what they were given.
That is, you cannot be their apologist. They were poor at their job.
I'm not making an apology. I'm just saying that there is no force strong enough to stop us when we want to go.
I don't know. I mean, you got Duke Laser.
Like, this is not a hurricane meets a volcano or whatever.
I mean, you guys had the tribal liaison and Duke Laserfist. I mean, that should have been more than enough to keep the knockouts at bay.
On what planet?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, those are formidable people with no job to stop the fights.
More formidable than us?
Well, it's not a question of formidable. It's a question of asserting yourself when the time comes. And I kind of felt like every time a skirmish or a fight broke out, they were late to the party.
I don't know. Maybe they wanted to get their entertainment's worth.
All I can say is I've never seen more humans or occupants in the penalty box, as we called it, the dungeon, this past Saturday, the sin bin.
Yeah, I felt like every single jam there was someone from each team in the penalty box.
And it's all fun.
Although I would like to clear something up. When I smothered Princess Brawly Pop's face into my bosom, I got a penalty, but she punched me in the gut. And that is why I smothered her.
I kind of
she did not get a penalty. So the good Lord Judgment Dave is not so omniscient, is he?
Well, I mean, the man had a lot going on. He had incompetent fight refs. He had a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure on good Lord Dave.
Maybe the good Lord Dave is incompetent.
No, Dave is, as you said, omnipotent, and we're going to leave that right there. A man with a beard that magnificent is infallible.
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely missed me get punched in the gut right in front of him. So
Kid Lat is just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but we'll talk about football at some point. Don't worry, kid. It's going to be okay.
Roller derby is football on roller skates.
I kind of feel like I'd like to see Kid Lat as a fight ref. When are you going to come out to roller derby and be a fight ref, Kid Lat?
I'd love to.
Oh my God, those ladies would pick you up and spin you around like a pizza over their heads. And I think the world would enjoy seeing that, to be honest with you.
We could get some good content out of that, some good photos and some good video clips.
We're gonna have to talk to the powers of the roller derby and get Kid Lat out because I bet Kid Lat would be more effective than Rion and Andy were, because I kind of feel like they were phoning it in.
I don't know. Are you going to say this directly to Rion and Andrew, or are you
100%? I'd say it right.
You're just going to keep running your mouth behind a screen.
I'm accessible at any time, and here's why I'm pissed, because it's all fun and games when the shit is happening on the floor, but when shit comes up to the commentary desk, somebody better look the fuck out.
Well, what came up to the commentary desk?
Oh, you didn't see that shit?
No, I was busy winning a game.
So at one point, our good friend Eurosmash decided that she wanted a little piece of the commentary team. So I get a lariat that basically knocks me out of my chair, and then she literally tries to choke me to death under the desk.
That sounds like Judgment Dave's problem.
It's a problem for everybody. I'm an award-winning commentator. I am.
How many times have you talked yourself into a fight? How many times? As a commentator and as an announcer. But because you pushed the line, At roller derby?
There was no line pushed. I was
Uh-huh.
objectively calling the action as I always do. I
Uh-huh.
can't help it if people get butt hurt when I call them to the carpet.
Did you call Euro to the carpet?
I called Euro to the carpet. Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, what did you say?
100%. She was way out of control. We needed to put a leash on her, and the minute
I
that
mean,
came
I
out of my
agree.
mouth,
I agree.
she
Brute
came at me
force.
like a javelin.
Brute force. Brute force did not handle losing well.
They did not.
They did not.
But I ask all of these big, spectacular super athletes, whether it be knockouts or wrestlers, why pick on me?
Because you're so loud.
We can ask Ben McCoy, why pick on me? Why hit Steve with a chair when Steve is just trying to save a man from being killed?
I didn't hit you with a
Excellent question.
chair. I have never attacked you.
You have not yet.
So
But
why are you asking me?
I'm putting it out there in the universe.
Okay, why? Like, you just had like the knockouts on this show. You could have asked them at any point.
I was betrayed by the knockouts this past Saturday.
How were you betrayed?
My safety was called to the carpet. They didn't go after Ocho.
I think you're being a little
They
bit of
didn't
a
go
baby.
after-
I think you're being a little bit of a baby right now.
I do not
I think you're
so.
being a
All
is
I
he
have
being a little
done-
bit of a baby?
All I have done in this lifetime is go to those events.
I have seen you run out of the IPW spot in Richmond Park into the lawn to fight people, and you're upset about getting a clothesline.
It's not the clothesline itself that hurts. It's the fact that I work so hard for those knockouts. Give of my time, give of my talent, trying to be the best version of myself at the Homewood Auditorium on a given Saturday evening. And how am I repaid? How is my professionalism rewarded? With a vicious, unwarranted attack. A line has to be drawn.
Okay, what do you want from me?
I feel like since you're on this show and we are partners, that I have been besmirched. I have been desecrated.
So do I have to duel for your honor now?
I feel like you need to get up and kick her ass is what I think you need to do.
Okay, so I'm doing.
Should have done it on Saturday.
I didn't even know anything happened on Saturday
And
because
you need to be a little more
everyone
observant.
over
I
there,
blame you.
What? You blame me?
Because you weren't more observant. You saw everything else that went on, but when I get attacked, all of my people just happen to look away. Rion,
Hey,
not even here. Look away.
Sacrifices have to be made, Steven.
So you guys are just going to sacrifice me, and that's what it is.
And you know what? That's one more win under my belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
do you want me to duel her? Do you want me to go smack her in the face with a glove and challenge her to a duel?
No.
Fisticuffs at dawn.
I want you to deliver a message for me, okay?
Oh, okay.
I want you to deliver a message to the knockout population.
Okay.
Now, obviously, you've seen the wrestling side. You've seen when I have been attacked previously that I have set out for retribution.
So what you're telling me, you're going to put skates on and you're going to start skating? Is that what you're going to do?
I have been skating for a while now, trying to get myself ready to not kill myself and embarrass myself. So as you guys do your thing, I am prepping for a situation like this because it's inevitable.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Every time I get drug out of my commentary desk into the world of violence, whether it be by Joey Roth and the Fabulous Idols, whether it be by Bulletproof Ben McCoy or the creator, what the fuck he is right now, whether it be by TJ Steele and CSW, whether it be by the workhorses
or literally by yourself, you've done it.
But here's the thing. Every time I have been viciously and savagely attacked, I have delivered retribution. Now, I won't be at Homewood in September because the date got changed on me. And the 28th just happens to be one of the biggest frontline shows of the year. So I can't call in sick because I got an asshat I have to deal with that hit me with a goddamn chair.
So you're gonna go hightail it up to Wisconsin and make me do your dirty work.
No, I don't want you to do it. In fact, stand down. Don't do anything.
Stand.
I
No,
will.
I'm not gonna stand down because I gotta win that bout too.
You can win that bout. That's great. But I'm going to come back in October. I'll be back to home.
Okay.
And when I come back, if people choose to hop up on that stage and they want some, they're going to get some.
Okay.
So spread the word, spread the mania. Y'all created this shit yourself.
Okay. Well, I thought we were talking about the bout and not your feelings.
I'm talking about my feelings a little bit as it pertains to me. But let's talk about the bout. Let's talk about it. It was action-packed. It was as exciting as we have ever seen. The skating was fast. People were very motivated, and being out there on the track, Russian, at the time of your life, it had to have been.
It was pretty close to it. I have the bruises to show. I have had 2 bruises merge into one on my leg. Got bruises on the backs of my legs. I got bruises on the backs of my arms. And I didn't even notice it when it happened. So sometimes you just got to get out there and leave it all on the track. And that is what I did. That is what Fatal Attraction did. And that is why we won.
And you did. And it was triumphant. And the fans that were in attendance were delighted with everything that happened. I thought it was a spectacular evening until I was almost killed. I thought it was a spectacular evening. And then after the after party, we got into an arm wrestling contest. And just as I was about to put her down to get my self-respect back, what did she do? She headbutted me.
And when did this happen?
This happened in the bar.
I was in the beer field the whole time.
Yeah, well, you were out fataling it, flapping your wings. I'm, again, at risk by myself with the enemy.
I mean, call Gondor for aid. I don't know. Like, send me a text.
Gondor, that's pretty funny. Of all the extracurricular knockout activities, the rec league stuff, this one I thought had it might have been the best one. Now, obviously, Knockouts After Dark was incredible, and it was a whole different kind of entertainment. This was unique, and it appealed to children and, well, I don't know, Red Bonia wardrobe malfunctions notwithstanding, it appealed to the kids and the adults. Talk a little bit about rec league knockouts and what that means.
Is this in character or out of character?
Whatever you'd like to be here. Am I in character? Am I out of character? No, I'm just Steve.
No, you're in character.
There's no character. Just
nope,
Steve.
You're out of pocket. That's what you are.
I am not out of pocket. Y'all knockouts are out of pocket. Taking me for
I didn't touch
I am
you.
Not enhancement talent.
I did not touch you. So,
I am not.
So anyways,
in the WWE, I'm not a security guard.
Moving away from your hurt feelings. Moving on. Rec league bouts are bouts where newer skaters can kind of get their feet under them, so to speak. They are a lot more relaxed, a lot more goofy, usually themed. Last year there was a North Side versus South Side bout. Obviously, June was After Dark, so more risque, and then this one was Wheels and Warriors, so Dungeons and Dragons. And it's an opportunity for people to do things they don't normally do, which, as you saw, I jammed several times, and then and Marley blocked. So it was the complete opposite situation for us, where she was helping me get through the pack rather than I would be helping her, which would be why I didn't score any points, because I'm not a jammer. And then you had the newer skaters that have never bouted before, have only done 1 or 2 bouts and done a couple of jams that in those get more time out there on the track.
It really was. And the new skaters, you could just feel their ease and their comfort as they were getting acclimated into the wonderful world of the knockouts. So I thought it was an unmitigated success. And then the after party, widely attended by anyone. So I think by the end of the night, it was fun had by all, right?
Oh, definitely. Especially especially at the after party. It was a lot of, I don't normally get to stay at them for very long. I'm a very sleepy person, but I guess I got a second wind, so I was out there. Maybe it was the fairy magic. Maybe it was the fairy dust that made me so social.
And so many of the knockouts just stepped up in new characters, and Pearl McPuff was a dominant skater all night, and boy, she really popped when it came to the crowd. Obviously, I thought what am I thinking of here? I thought Spriteful Bitch was very, very eclectic and very much involved in a lot of stuff. Pixie Cut was trying to kill people, I thought. Obviously you were you were like watching one of the Bears' great linebackers marauding around that track trying to hurt people and just create contact and
Did
collision.
you just say I look like a linebacker?
When you're out there marauding, I mean, we have had some of the greatest linebackers in the history of football. And what they do is they have a high enough IQ where they just kind of sit out there in the weeds. And when the shit comes down, they go right to it and end it. So that was not a physical stature comparison. It was a instinct and delivering of violence comparison. So
I will
stand
say
down
that I
your hurt
do.
feelings.
I will say that first of all, you know damn well that someone called me a fucking linebacker a couple months ago.
I don't remember that. I really don't.
You don't remember this?
I would have
Yeah,
said a defensive back then if I remembered that.
Somebody commented on a yet another victory photo that I looked like an NFL draft pick.
Okay, I do not recall that.
That I looked like an NFL draft pick. I mean, to be fair,
I didn't say you looked like one. I said you.
I know enough about football to know that if I played for the NFL, the Bears would be winning right now.
That's fair.
I do know that much.
You are of the long traditions of the Mike Singletaries and the Brian Urlachers and all of the greats that came before, because you are a read and react. You kind of watch the action as it comes to you, and then you eliminate it.
Well, I'm tall enough that I can see it all happening. So
that's right. So
just look down and see who's going where.
Take a fucking compliment.
Make it sound like one.
Kid Lat, in my defense, that was a compliment, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So you're like he's talking about, the level of danger that position brings to the game. So
that's right.
I definitely brought danger. I did bring danger. That is true.
So I'll expect your apology on social media later tonight.
Oh yes, I'm sure that will happen.
That's not going to happen because you couldn't even defend me when we were together in the same building. Why would you defend
I didn't know anything happened, you whiny ass brat.
All the knockouts, even my friends are turning against me. It's not a safe place for me in Homewood anymore. I've outlived my usefulness.
Shut up.
Status.
Shut up. How often do I get jumped?
Yeah, that's you never get you get jumped, but you always beat the shit out of the jumper. So you usually come out of it smelling like a rose.
Okay, well, the next time somebody attacks you, I will eschew all of my responsibilities in the bout to ride to your rescue.
I will believe that when I see it. Performances I really enjoyed going over to your opponents. I thought Need for Mead was incredibly present and active in the shenanigans, and of course Valhalla and the dragon. That it was such contrarian characters that it worked so well in the storyline, and I just thought you guys were on point with the storytelling that was happening that night.
No, I agree. I think that everybody understood the assignment when prepping their characters and their outfits.
And now Rec League is over and it's on to the playoffs. How you feeling? Are you feel like you're going to be ready? The comic book crushers, are they going to wipe off the bad taste of last year and reclaim their birthright?
I'm going to knock on wood when I say this, but remember that I was out for almost the entire season last year. So I've been on the comic book crushers since day one. Several of the crushers have been there since day one early on. So I think we've got a pretty good chance. We've got a pretty fair shot. I'm not too entirely concerned because I know what we have in terms of teamwork and what we have in terms of strategy. Um, and I know that we know how to work together and we don't even have to speak sometimes to communicate with each other.
Very similar sentiments were offered last week on this show by one Ricky Ricochet about the horrific Haunters, who are the defending champions. And until they get knocked off the mountain, they are the premier team in the Premier League. Am I correct or not correct?
And like I said last time, the only reason they got to the top is because they didn't have to deal with me.
Well, that certainly is a story to be told. The next bout is September 28th at the HF Auditorium. It will resume active league play, and it will be the playoff time. So you will have September and October to figure out who is going to the championship in November. So
Exactly.
get your tickets now because it's going to sell out, and it's going to be the playoffs before we know it. So the knockouts they move, and they move fast indeed.
And you're going to be real sad if you don't show up in October, but I'll talk about that more another time.
I'm going to be there in October. I just won't be there in September, and then of course, thanks to one Kurt Angle, I won't be there in November either.
Well, boo.
Well, hey, it's Kurt fucking Angle. You know he won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck.
How could I forget?
I get to interview him for 20 minutes. It's like God said, Steve, who'd you like to interview? And I just got to pick, and here we are.
Well,
Sometimes
good luck.
it's better to be lucky than good.
That's true.
That my whole life.
That's true.
So there's that. Russian, thank you for taking time out. I know this was not easy for you to do tonight. Apparently, the Power Hour is disintegrating before my eyes as we have been vacated by everybody.
No, I'm just recovering. Sorry.
So Kid Lat and I are going to get into the football as you say goodbye. And like I said, if there's things that I need to be aware of to say or not say, somebody should send a memo out before this show starts. Because if I don't know something, how can I not talk about it, having been there?
That's true.
So my apologies to those that might be offended. I am not on the Discord app. I have no knowledge of inside information. I just fly by the seat of my pants like always. And that's probably why I got my ass kicked on the stage.
Probably.
But I will be back. Russian Blue,
Okay.
thank you so much for your time. Have a good night, get some rest, and we will see you, hopefully, hear you next week.
Yes. Smooches, have fun talking about sports ball.
We're gonna try. Kid Lat and I are gonna take on the world in about 2 minutes.
All
Absolutely.
right. Godspeed.
Good night, Russian. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right, that of course is our lovely and talented co-host, Russian Blue. And now it's just down to 2. And do you want to know why, Kid Lat? There are only 2 of us here because you have formed the Lightning Dome. Is it called? It's the Lightning Dome.
Oh, it's the Lightning Dome, yeah.
The Lightning Dome Dojo, as I have been referring to it, apparently is comprised of some scared little shivering bitches.
Whoa.
We put the announcement out to everybody. The Skylar Reeds, the Joey Blues, the Johnny Chaoses, all the fucking heartthrobs and heroes from point A to point B in wrestling.
The motivation
Where
Mike.
the fuck are they?
Right.
All right, Kid Lat, what made you want to establish your own fantasy football league? Because I was there when the idea began, and I got to watch it germinate over a couple of months. So take us back through your thought process in which you got together some of the most cowardly people we have ever seen in human existence.
So a lot of the credit actually has to go to PX because
who's not here? Who's not here? He said
he's not here.
He said he's sick. He had a procedure, a medical procedure. So I am inclined to grant PX a little bit of latitude because of his medical stuff. He actually did tell me he probably wasn't going to make it tonight. So I will not call PX a coward, at least right now. That will change as the year goes on, most certainly. But what about these other shivering bitches?
I mean, I don't know about I know Motivation Mike's a hardworking man outside of his his devious tasks. He's usually busy looking for clients. So I mean that might explain his absence, although I don't think that's a great excuse in itself. Uh, but back to the creation of this
The
league.
creation of the Lightning Dome Dojo.
About 2 years ago, I had the idea initially, because about the two big loves of my life are wrestling and football. Anyone who's a close friend with me knows that.
Why
And
we're peas in a pod, Kid Lat, because those are two of mine as well.
yes,
I went to a concert at the Tinley Park Amphitheater, rocking my Caleb Williams gear, and
awesome.
I must have had conversations with 35 humans saying, "Man, is he real?" And I'm like, I'm too old to waste any time. I could be dead tomorrow. So I'm embracing Caleb Williams as the Michael Jordan of this era. He is going to deliver us to the promised land and make everything okay in Chicago.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
But you know
You
what the
know
you know what the realism is, Kid Lat?
what's that?
Could very easily be Justin Fields part two.
Well, the thing about that is, uh, if we're gonna get into that, I'm gonna
I
go
was
ahead
all in
and
on Justin. I got my Justin Fields jersey hanging up in my man cave, and I look at it sometimes and go, I bought the fuck all in on that too. Why is this even different?
well, when you have a quarterback with the physical tools, the arm strength and being able to run a 4.3 40-yard dash like Justin did, you have certain expectations. But if you I was just as all in on Justin as I am on Caleb. I'll admit that. But coming from a more, you know, a more, I'm not to say mature perspective, but I'm older now. And I'd say less naive.
I mean, you graduated high school, so I guess
Right.
that's actually kind of right.
Just less naive to just buy into a prospect like I was. There are certain things about Caleb's game that you could pick apart, and that Justin, as much as we love him, and as a city we still love him, we wish him all the best. There's certain parts of Caleb's game that Justin simply doesn't have. Like you saw during the snaps in the preseason of Caleb really like reading through his progressions and reading the defense, which you didn't see. Justin was really a first read kind of guy. If his first read wasn't open, he was either going to hold on to the ball too long to see if other reads are open, in which case it'd have been too late. That's also the fault of the O line of previous years too. But or he'd try and take off and either you get 40-yard gains from time to time. Obviously, that's what he was famous for. But he also, sometimes he'd run into people and the play would be dead and we'd lose the drive. Caleb's good at extending to the plays where he can read through his progressions and throw the ball.
And he's capable of doing Patrick Mahomes shit. That
Yes,
little that
for
little
sure.
dump pass or that little flip to DeAndre Swift
That
in,
was awesome.
in the first in the game, the second game of the season, was very much out of Patrick Mahomes' playbook. I'm optimistic. I'm hardened. I'm not going to say I'm full on expecting the Bears to go to the playoffs this year. Obviously, I don't know if the Super Bowl is a realistic thing, but I feel like they should be better than last year by at least 3 games. And if that's the case, that's 10 wins, and that's typically enough to be a playoff team, unless you're coached by Lovie Smith. 10 wins did not get him in and got him fired, but Lovie Smith is now a sacred cow in this town because everything
Absolutely.
that's happening right now, whether you want to believe it or not, Lovie Smith got you there by sticking it up the ass of the Texans.
Both Chicago and Houston both need to collectively build statues of Lovie Smith outside of our
Did
stadium.
you see the Hall of Fame when Devin Hester mentioned Lovie Smith and people were standing up chanting his name? They weren't chanting it because he was innovative on special teams and
Right.
he was responsible for Devin Hester being Devin Hester. They were cheering for him because we would not be in this position right now without Lovey. So that's ironic.
Absolutely.
Here's
And
my problem, kid. Here's my problem.
what's that, Steve?
I was all in on Jay Cutler. I've been all in before. And kid, I'm
Yeah,
not going to lie to you. I've been hurt.
I understand.
Been hurt. They've broken my heart. I've been rocking with this team since '79. I was 9 years old when I became a football and Bears fan. Now, you can't understand 1979 when you hear that date. It's like me hearing 1945. That's 79 to you is 1945 to me, which is the significant difference in our ages. I feel like you're more mature than I am, but you're certainly way younger than me. But I've been hurt many times. I was not sold on Mitch Trubisky. I was not sold on Cade McNown, but I tried to believe, and I certainly wasn't fucking sold on Rex Grossman. So we have been down this first round quarterback thing a lot of times because for all intents and purposes, we've sucked for a long time. How does Caleb save us?
Well, you know, in today's game, there's no certain way of telling, right? But if you look at least talking since 2017, at least talking since the Mitch era, and I guess the Mike Glennon era, if we're gonna go there.
We don't talk about that guy.
Right.
That was one of the single-handedly stupidest signings in the history. That guy was fucking awful, and the amount of money they paid him. So I can't even. It makes me emotional when I hear about that.
Scouting quarterback talent has evolved in the past couple years more than it has like in previous decades. Because I mean, if we look back at Mitch Trubisky as a prospect, right?
Yeah.
Sort of, the three big names of that class being Mahomes, Watson, and Trubisky. It's not like we were settled on Trubisky well before going into the draft. He sort of shot up boards all of a sudden.
And doesn't it make you wonder why?
Right.
Because if you mention those three names, I mean, obviously Mahomes is the second coming of Brady, who is the second coming of Montana. That is this era's elite quarterback.
Yes.
And then Deshaun Watson, before shit went wrong, was one of the most exciting quarterbacks out there. When he was with the fucking Texans, man, that guy was electricity personified.
At Clemson, he was absolutely incredible. I mean, I think most Bears fans could agree that before the Trubisky hype started, it wasn't like we were buying into Mahomes per se, because
I thought it was Deshaun Watson. I thought that was going to be our quarterback.
Yes, because at the time Mahomes was, he was a big arm gunslinger from Texas Tech, not exactly a big quarterback school. We were like, he was sort of the way people viewed Josh Allen in 2018, where it's like he's got all the physicals. He's not statistically all the way there per se. He doesn't really have the
Josh Allen pretty much shoved that up everybody's ass.
Yes. Yeah, he's it was the toolsy quarterback, which we're seeing a lot of other teams sort of draft. You have the Anthony Richardsons and the Drake Mays, where they have the Joe Miltons, even though he was drafted later. But like they have the physical tools where they could be polished into something. Caleb's different because we do see that he has the physical tools. Like obviously he does have a degree of arm strength. He has that innate improviser ability, but we see like the intangibles that you don't really see. We didn't really see when we had Fields. We didn't just see when we had Trubisky. Trubisky didn't know what a hard count was, by the way, when we drafted him, just for the record.
now he's the spokesperson for Cialis. Go figure.
But it's the mental aspects of the game that made like guys like Brady.
Trubisky was mental, all right.
Yeah,
fucking mental, that kid.
Yeah. But I mean, Caleb has those physical, toolsy things along with polished aspects of the game. Where he could come in and almost be. I mean, again, he hasn't played in regular season yet. We're still, talking it up as hopeful Bears fans. But
we've got Hard Knocks, which I think they should title Hard Knocks: The Caleb Williams Saga.
Of course, but
that is the biggest propaganda on Caleb Williams that has ever been made. It is not even close to what Hard Knocks was previously. It should be Caleb Williams presents the Bears and Hard Knocks is what it should be.
I mean, I loved every second of it, regardless. But
I think we should do, Lat? I think we should get everybody in this league together, and we should sit in a theater-like room, and we should all have to get up and say what our signing bonuses were and sing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that should happen.
Karaoke?
Yes.
That sounds like a great idea.
I don't know what's going to happen with our Bears. I mean, obviously it's a week before the season begins. We have a home game against a team that is not typically fantastic. And they've gone through many changes. So it certainly seems like after week one, the Bears could very easily be 1-0, assuming Caleb doesn't shit the bed. And we haven't seen any reason to believe that he would shit to bed. He's also playing in practice against a top 5 defense, which should only help him, because if you're going hard balls out against a defense that's noted for takeaways and aggressive play calling, you get a team that sits in cover 2 all day, he's going to pick those boys apart.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on the Bears defense, I think I think seeing how the Bears defense like transition from 2022 to 2023, at least like halfway through 2023,
That
that's
was
sort
the
of like
it
a
was the
testament.
Montez Sweat effect.
Yeah. It's a testament to how important like having a strong edge rusher is, because before obtaining Montez Sweat, we didn't really have anybody on that line once we got rid of Roquan and Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks. We were sort of just left out to dry. And then we signed Montez, and then all of a sudden, the pressure rates go up, the takeaways go up.
And you get somebody outside on the edge that they have to plan for. It makes studs like Jervon Dexter a little more physically present, and then you get them moving. And plus, a couple of signings in the offseason. The line is looking a little better. They just traded for the Seahawk. That's a kind of a linebacker edge rushing hybrid.
Right.
We saw the 53-man roster come out today, and it's about what we expected, short of Velus Jones Jr. I didn't think that dude was going to make the team by any stretch of the imagination, but here we are.
Well, a position change could do wonders.
I mean, he's great. Just don't give him the ball. He can't catch the ball. See,
Yeah.
that's the great irony of it. He's the fastest receiver in football, but he has no hands. That is very Bears. Do you remember
I
the Kevin White
remember
experiment?
what's that?
You remember the Kevin White experiment?
Yeah, yeah. Don't
Very
remind
Bears.
me.
That's very Bears. Seventh pick of the draft on this big Randy Moss looking wide receiver that couldn't catch the ball.
As much as we talk about the Bears quarterback draft bust history, a lot could also be said about wide receiver bust history too. But I mean, I'm very optimistic about our core, obviously, with DJ Moore, Keenan, Rome. I still remember being at my school, and I had just finished a paper, Steve. I just finished a paper, and I went to take a little bit of a nap, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up to a call from my friend Matthias, huge Bears fan as well. Shout out Matthias if he's watching. Goes watched a lot of my wrestling stuff too, so he might be.
Yes, you are not a shivering bitch. We like you.
We
Everybody
love
else in the
Matthias.
Lightning Dome League, shivering bitches.
Right. But I remember waking up from the nap to a call, and he goes, "We trade for Keenan Allen." And I was just so excited. It was one of the most exciting times of my life, probably.
I mean, at that point, you've given DJ Moore a bookend. So
Right.
now who do you prepare for? A guy that's 10 years in the league, that has been a Pro Bowler 8 times, a guy that has had 5,000-yard seasons consecutively with some of the worst quarterback play in history.
Right.
And they are here and now, and you have to deal with them. Oh, and then wait a minute, with the 9th pick in the NFL draft, the Chicago Bears select Rome Odunze.
Love Rome.
How do you not love Rome?
Exactly.
Watching Rome work, whether it be the footage from practices and OTAs to what he did in that ball that Caleb throws off his back foot, dropping it right into the well. That is a ball that would have been dropped by 80% of our receivers over the last 4 years. But
Yeah.
and they hadn't
Devon
painted
Wims is dropping that ball every
the
time.
end lines at Soldier Field, or Rome would have known that he was not in the end zone. He would have moved up a step, and that's a touchdown too.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, coming out of the draft, Rome was my wide receiver too. I mean, I liked him and Neighbors both a lot. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. was my one, as it was most people's. But like coming out of the rookie draft, I liked Rome. I definitely liked Rome going to Chicago, because as good as having DJ and Keenan is, neither of those guys are really jump ball receivers. Those are more, Keenan's like the prototypical route runner, Devontae Adams type guy. DJ's sort of route runner-ish. He's got deep threat ability, but we didn't really have like a big jump ball, Mike Evans, Julio Jones sort of jump up and get it physical receiver. And then we got Rowan that sort of just fills in perfectly
Plus,
with that.
you got a little more protection when Keenan Allen goes away for a couple weeks, as he pretty much does every year.
Let's not talk it
That's
into
not a knock. That's
existence.
just the truth. That is the only reason I
okay.
didn't draft him. That is the only reason I didn't take him early in the draft, because I had my clicker on him there, kid. I was ready, and I'm like, I can't do it because when I need him most, he is going to be on the bench, and I can't do it. And
Right.
someone beat me to Rome. I don't know who it is. I haven't gone through all of our teams yet, but I was just getting ready, and then right before I picked, he was gone.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So apparently, and we're gonna call out all of these coaches. We're calling them all out because I even had Johnny saying, "What platform are you on?" How do you ask a motherfucker what platform you're on when I say Zoom meeting number? I mean, what do I have to fucking spell it out for you? I mean, you're a dad now. You have to be teaching and learning shit. But that's neither here nor there. So here we are, and we had our draft, and at first it looked like it was going to be a long time until you geniuses accelerated it toward the end.
Yeah.
Which bless you for that. See, I haven't played in a league with this many people in quite a while. I play in a big league. I play in one league every year because that's usually all I can handle. But when I heard Kid Lat was getting a league, I'm like, well, I have to be a part of it. So I told you very early on that I was going to be a part of this thing, and I'm glad I did. But those drafts are hard when you're trying to get the bargain basement, when you're trying to figure out who you're going to fill this shit out with. I was looking at my team today. My last pick was Kendrick Bourne. He's out until October. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with this guy? I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't play him for a little while anyway. He would be a guy that would come in for an injury, but he's injured, so he can't really come in for an injury. So now I got to look at the scraps that are left and find someone to fill it. That's my problem, not yours.
I feel you. I mean, my flex is Lad McConkey, so I'm not exactly in like
that could be savvy because he's got a great pedigree. He's in an offense that I think he could flourish in.
Justin Herbert's throwing the ball. That's the most important part.
And Justin Herbert, who's still out there that I was looking at today that I was eyeing as someone I might pick up in place of Kendrick Bourne is DJ Chark is still out there. And I'm thinking,
what team is he on right now? I don't.
Huh?
What team is he on right now?
San Diego. Chark.
Oh, he is a Charger?
He's a Charger.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, he floats in recent years. He's floated around the league.
Yeah, but he was making big catches when Trevor Lawrence didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, so, used to be his one
talent. And who is Justin Herbert throwing to? I mean, Lad McConkey, obviously. Mike Williams gone, Keenan Allen gone.
The Chargers receiver room has been the worst it's been in a while. But so, I mean, I'm going to talk from a biased perspective, as I do in my family dynasty draft. I have a family, like a dynasty league with my cousins. And last season, I had the option in the rookie draft between Zay Flowers and Quentin Johnston. And I was so sure that the Chargers wide receiver, Quentin Johnston, was going to be an absolute stud his first year. And now it's looking like he barely made the roster. So.
Don't you hate that when you are absolutely certain someone is just going to blow the fuck up? I had an experience with Najee Harris last year where I was like, this is the year. Their quarterback room is shit. Tomlin's going to run the ball every time. Najee's his workhorse. It was the worst running back season I've ever had. I had him cut by game 6.
He's not great. His vision as a running back isn't spectacular.
It's straight ahead, boy. If he wants to run up somebody's ass, the ass is right in his face. He'll find it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Quentin Johnson didn't germinate for you, and that happens sometimes.
No.
So let's talk about the Lightning Dojo League.
Yes.
Let's talk about. So obviously, what's the name of your team?
I'm rolling with currently Kid Lat Boy Wonders, just to keep with the brand. A lot of the choosing that is after the draft. It turns out I drafted a lot of sort of high upside young guys. Again, going back to my flex, we got Lad McConkey. We got a lot of young receivers in the bench here. We got Leggett, who I love in Carolina. Love the Panthers. Shout out Joey Blues, huge Panthers fan. I don't know why he's not here right now.
Yeah, Joey Blues messaged me today. Since Joey Blues has now disappointed me, and when No Coast turned and went evil, I'm still suffering emotional trauma from that shit. So he sent me this. Thank God CD finally signed a deal. I was getting worried. Now we have a good battle. Looking forward to it because he's my opening contest. That's my game one. And I said, I'm going to shit talk you fiercely tonight. We are going to have some fun. And where's Joey? Not here because he doesn't want the smoke.
I'll tell you this, Steve. If it was any other Tuesday but today, he'd probably be at Lucha practice. But our practice did get canceled due to the heat, so I have no idea where he's at.
Oh, so this
should be here.
I didn't even know you had Lucha practice. So I'm thrilled that you're here. Thank you for that.
No problem. I can't turn down anything for the Power Hour. I got to be here.
You're very, very kind. So would you say on draft night, I shocked the world?
Yes, you had the most shocking move of the night, many would say.
It was, I mean, I pretty much told you when we started, said I'm gonna get Caleb number one, and you're like, you and I laughed about it, and then it happened, and my messenger blew up.
Yes.
Are you fucking crazy? What the fuck are you doing? Why would you do that? You know why?
Why?
Because I'm 54 years old, Kid Lat, and I have to believe. I have no choice. My Bears and I don't have a lot of time left. My fandom is waning with each year. Eventually, I'm going to be in the earth somewhere, and I won't know anything about what's going on. So I need this now. And I need to show the universe that I have faith. And what's the best way to show the universe I have faith? To pick Caleb Williams, number fucking one.
Yes.
And we'll see how that happens because it could go good or it could go very bad.
Well, I'll say this. If it goes bad, it's not like people are expecting it to have been a premium pick, what you did.
Right.
So if it goes bad, it goes bad. People are gonna be like, "Oh, Steve, we told you," But if it goes good, if it goes great, which it might, you're gonna look like the biggest genius.
I am gonna shit talk that. You think that I'm gonna be all over that chat, giving middle fingers and telling people to fuck off for having doubted me. I am gonna be obnoxious. I'm never gonna get invited back. That's how big a prick I'm gonna be. But I have a pretty good backup quarterback that I feel pretty good with. I feel like if things go bad with Caleb, I have a backup plan, and I think I can get by.
Have I told you your two quarterbacks are actually like my two favorite, like outside of fantasy, like as a fan, those are my two favorite quarterbacks.
So you're a big Trevor Lawrence fan, you're a big T-Law guy.
Yeah, so I mean, I like in his Clemson era, that was like my favorite college football era, probably. I want to say I thought T-Law and Caleb were actually both my dynasty quarterbacks.
So I've taken them from you. I will give them good home. I will make sure they are well cared for. So you didn't pick Caleb or you didn't pick Lawrence. So who did you pick? Who's the field general for Team Kid Lat?
So there's a lot of context actually that needs to go into this. So I would have gone quarterback a whole lot earlier had it not been for a draft mishap by Mr. Kenny Nine. Kenny Nine accidentally, he initially drafted Mahomes first overall, or for his first round pick. Going quarterback, unless it's Caleb and your Steve, is not the most ideal first round in most fantasy cases.
I have a great fantasy football story to tell you after you're done, so go ahead.
Got it, yeah. But and then Kenny, he went Derrick Henry in the second round, and then when it came to his third to fourth round turn, he accidentally drafted Deshaun and Justin Herbert, which, I mean, it was a mistake. So as a commissioner, I want to see everybody in the league have a competitive shot at this, just for the drama, just for good television.
But you had to put the sport jacket on, and you had to get up on that podium, and you had to make your first official proclamation as commissioner.
Yes, so I decided around my pick of that round, I would draft Amari Cooper at my flex, and I told Kenny, we'll work something out. So in my head, I don't want to take if had I known I was gonna get a quarterback later, the quarterback that so I ended up drafting, God forbid, Aaron Rodgers. Like, yeah,
Okay, so let's talk about that. I mean, that is an intriguing pick for a number of reasons. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, last year, it's a freak accident. Somebody out there by the second or third round had picked Aaron Rodgers. Okay. Someone was excited that Aaron Rodgers in the Jets in a new offense with great young weapons and all that, he was going to be great. He was going to bring the Jets to the playoffs. And then the worst possible scenario happens. So now here we are again. And Aaron Rodgers, you know, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you have a lot to prove. If you come
yeah.
out and you're not Aaron Rodgers, you have to retire. And you're going to be a joke, a punchline for no matter how good you've been, you have fucked your legacy if you don't lead the Jets to the playoffs. That's a lot of fucking pressure.
The thing is, Aaron Rodgers is sort of like my least favorite human being. Uh, he's
I hear
definitely
he
up
owns my
there.
favorite team, so I have to give him some kudos.
So when I drafted him purely because me and Kenny had worked out. I'd give him Amari Cooper, I'd take the L on a trade, and I'd be getting Justin Herbert, who's currently my starter. Justin Herbert in the hardball run heavy offense that's projected to be the Chargers offense isn't exactly the most ideal fantasy pickup, but you got to bet on talent sometimes where he's just that good of a player where likely, hopefully, something can work out. So I've
Here's
Justin
where I'm
Herbert
gonna
starting.
I think that is very savvy. And I think you win because of that. Because Harbaugh comes into this team and there's not a lot of, the talent level on the Chargers when he took it over, not fantastic. And they got rid a lot of their skill position players. So now he is getting piece players and he is getting Harbaugh players. But that's what makes Harbaugh teams dangerous because, like Mike Tomlin and like the great coaches, they don't necessarily need 16 Pro Bowlers on their team to be successful. And
Right.
if he is sold on Justin Herbert as the quarterback, Harbaugh is very innovative when it comes to offense, and a lot of
Yes.
stuff that will be based on the run will be great for the play action and the read option, which I think
Right.
Justin Herbert will do well. And I think Justin Herbert could run for a few touchdowns too. So
Absolutely. People forget
although
his
on
running
the
ability.
surface it might not look great, I think knowing Jim Harbaugh and knowing that he is successful everywhere he goes, that might have been a very savvy pickup.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm optimistic about it. My my only issue with just the situation is regardless of how it's schemed up, just the way we saw Harbaugh run his team at Michigan. I don't want Justin becoming like a JJ McCarthy. I guess is what I'm saying here. He doesn't.
I think Minnesota would wish he was a JJ McCarthy.
I'm sure Minnesota would love to have Justin Herbert. I'm sure
Yeah,
Justin Jefferson would
yeah,
love to have Justin Herbert.
I'm
But
telling you.
again, I'm optimistic. Aaron Rodgers as the backup is definitely, as old as he is at this point of career, he's an upside pick. So if it turns out that he is going to be a fantasy monster for no reason, then he's going to get the nod over Justin. Although I'm going to make sure it has to be super warranted for me to be playing
I bet
Aaron
you're
Rodgers.
disappointed that the Jets don't play the Bears this year.
Oh, would have been great television, dude. It would have been awesome. We might just see him in the Super Bowl, though. You never know. So,
Jets and the Bears in the Super Bowl. Vegas odds on that are slim and none. So let's talk about that. Um, so based on the teams and how they drafted, well, you know what? Before we get into that, I want to tell you my fantasy football story.
yes.
So this is a few years ago, and I was part of a 9-man league. So you had your pick of anybody. And the Bears had just gotten Jay Cutler. Or no, Jay Cutler had been the quarterback for a year. And they just got Brandon Marshall. So now Jay Cutler
Yes.
and Brandon Marshall are reunited. You see where this is going, don't you? I had the last pick of the first round and the first pick of the second round. and I picked Jay Cutler with the last pick of the first round and Brandon Marshall with the first pick of the second round. And much like what happened to me after picking Caleb Williams, the league questioned my sanity, my competency, and they said, "Did you ever watch football in your life?" And that year I did not win. It did not go to my favor. So my track record is bad. But can you believe a human being would do that? Because that's drafting with your heart, not your head.
Still, this isn't your first time just being a Bears loyalist.
It is not my first time hoping for the best. If I believe he's going to be the greatest quarterback, he's going to be the greatest quarterback. It just didn't pan out for me all those years ago. So let's talk about the coaches in this league, the shivering bitches that didn't show up today. We started with Joey Blues. I mean, I'm looking at Joey's team. It's Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's probably the quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes that you want, right?
Right.
The large rushing upside, can pass the ball, electric player. I don't know about Joe Mixon in Houston. I mean, maybe that's a good. Usually, when a running back gets to a new team, I mean, that could be good. It could not be good. We don't know.
I like it.
Singletary of the Giants. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I mean, is he going to get all the carries? And I mean, are they thinking he's the answer for Saquon Barkley?
Not too sure about that, but okay. So I mean, I don't know what the Giants running back room is looking like right now, but I believe he's definitely the biggest veteran presence on there. But if we're just looking at Joey Blues' team, ignoring the running back room and the flex, actually, I don't even hate Joe Mixon as an RB1. I want to say I love Blues' team. Having a 1-2 punch of CeeDee Lamb and Cooper Kupp as your wide receiver 1 and 2.
All right, let's pump the brakes
Lamar.
Let's pump the brakes on Cooper Kupp a little bit. You know that there's another wide receiver out in Los Angeles now, right?
Oh, I know because he's a Kid Lat boy wonder. Obviously,
I mean, Puka Nacua is now what Cooper Kupp was back then. So,
yeah.
And is Cooper Kupp going to be able to stay healthy? So, I mean, it's a high risk, high reward pick. And I hope like hell that it fails for that no-coach son of a bitch. Eddie Pinheiro is his kicker. Who the fuck drafts Eddie Pinheiro? Did he wait till the last pick in the draft to get a fucking kicker? You know a kicker can give you 20 points on a good day. Not Eddie Pinheiro. How many times is that Carolina offense going to find the fucking end zone?
I'm pretty sure he did actually wait till last round to draft Eddie Pinheiro. And he's as much of a Panthers loyalist as like we are Bears loyalists. I mean, it's not like he's running out with Bryce Young, but this guy loves the Panthers, dude.
Yeah, but you can't love Eddie Pinheiro. He didn't even make it on the Bears, for fuck's sake.
I'm very grateful for Cairo Santos. All right, I love him.
You got to give him credit for drafting quarterbacks. I mean, he's got two quarterbacks that are studs all day long. I mean, you could, depending on your week, that's a boon. I mean, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's really dumb that he's got both, because I'm here with Justin Herbert. He has.
It's time to make a trade.
I'll get to that later. I'm gonna make a live trade proposal on the Power Hour to a team. I'll save that for later when we get to him. But he's someone who's been very vocal to you. And
I have many people that are very vocal, and I'm getting all up in their shit tonight. So as the Power Hour rolls forward through football season, we are going to donate 15 minutes to every show talking about this league and everything that's happening. So I am going to send you the link every week. And if you want, I'll tell you what time I'm going to do it. So if you want to pop on and make announcements or talk a little shit, we're going to make you part. You're going to be our official fantasy football correspondent. And we're going to slot you in. If you're not available, that's fine. But if you want that 15 minutes every week to kind of review the league, we can get that done, and we can have some fun with this league all year long.
So I'm a sportscaster now.
Well, I mean, it's as much as Zoom interviews can be sportscasting. I mean, hell, we're more fucking entertaining than fucking the score was on the ride home. I'll tell you.
Oh that. Yeah.
I mean, this is broadcasting school.
Thing I wanted to do as a kid.
I went to broadcasting school when I was 40 to get that second shot at a great career. and I killed it. Every sports radio show that I was on, I was electrifying. I even dazzled Jonathan Hood, who was one of my teachers. And I'm still waiting for Jonathan Hood to call me up and say, Steve, let's do that show we're talking about all those years ago. I feel like me and Hoodie would be the right combination. I love him and Cap. I mean, that's a great show in the morning. But I feel like Hood and I feel like, I could get so amped up and out of control that I would make him laugh every fucking day. But that's neither here nor there. So I think Singletary on Joey Blues' team is the equivalent to David Montgomery. Now, a lot of people are like, David Montgomery's a badass. You'll find out. He had a great year last year. I'm not taking it away, but we watched that shit for a long time. Could have been that way in Chicago, but it wasn't. He's going to get hurt. That's the bottom line. And Singletary's the same fucking player. Joey Blues, we're going to play on Saturday or Sunday or whatever the fuck we're playing. And I'm going to tell you this. Caleb Williams is going to go off for 350 and 3 touchdowns. And I am going to own you like I would own you at Rocket Pro.
Wow.
So if they ever come back to Rocket Pro, we can take your besmirchment tonight for not showing up on this show and let's just settle it in the fucking ring. Me and you, Joe, let's do it. Joey Blues, I'm calling you out. Come on home to Joliet. Open your fucking fantasy football mouth on my commentary table. I will take you in that ring, and I will. I might not whip his ass, but it'll be it'll be fucking fun. I'll tell you that much right now. All right, let's talk about the other fuck faces that didn't show up tonight. Who else we got? Maybe we'll give Johnny Chaos a pass. I mean, he's a new dad. You're trying to figure shit out as a new dad. Maybe we give him a pass.
Well, we'll get to him. If we're gonna talk about him right now, I'd like to talk about Anthony Richardson.
You know what? I'm taking my foot off the gas. I am giving you the wheel. It's time for you to drive this ship, steer the boat. We're gonna take fantasy football wherever Kid Lat wants to take it.
Okay, so if we're looking at his team titled the Straight Edge Society,
is that a CM Punk reference?
I guess so. I
mean, are we really doing this?
I might have to step in as a commissioner about that.
Take it down. Take it down right fucking now.
So this is just brutal honesty. This is like a great squad. This is an insane team for a 14-man. This is crazy. If we compare everybody's flexes, his was Jalen Waddle, which is pretty crazy for a 14-man.
I would put my flex based on last year and his symmetry with CJ Stroud. I got Tank Dell as my flex. Tank Dell as my flex.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great team. What I wanted to talk about,
Jalen Waddle, assuming he's healthy, that is, if he's your flex, fuck, I don't want to play you.
I'm currently in talks with my arch nemesis right now.
Who's your arch nemesis?
Motivation Mike. I have a lot of arch nemesis nowadays, but my original
Motivation Mike, that little fucking khaki wearing asshole. He could be here tonight, but he
might jump on. He might be coming on.
He ain't coming on. He's a scared little bitch. He won't go. He cheats on me in the ring. He took my title because he had his boys beat me down. Fuck that guy.
Back to chaos.
I know he's part of the Wrestle League dojo. I know you guys are boys. I know it, but
we're not boys. We're not boys.
Mike and I, the story of me and Motivation Mike is not over at IPW. I promise you that.
Okay, so back to chaos's. What I want to talk about is the quarterback room.
Okay.
He said that Anthony Richardson is like on the trade block. So this is like a formal outputting of my interest in that situation. I love it. He
doesn't want him?
He's interested in shipping him out. I understand because he's got Jaden Daniels on the bench, who's a rookie with immense rushing upside, which is great for fantasy. So I mean, come talk to me about Anthony Richardson.
So those are his 2 quarterbacks?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is the most he could be fucked. Anthony Richardson, we don't know what he's going to be, and we certainly don't know what Jaden Daniels is going to be.
Right. I like Anthony Richardson in terms of fantasy, though, just because, I mean, both those guys are just.
And they stay healthy.
Yeah, it is a matter of that. It is. But
I mean, I guess that's true with anybody, but to me, I mean, obviously, I shouldn't talk. I have the most unproven person in the world on my team, so I shouldn't talk shit about that. But oh no, you little fuck! We started this shit at 6:30, and now you and your khaki bitches show up. You are a terrible wrestler. You are a worse fantasy football coach. Fuck you. Fuck the big leagues. Fuck.
Well, I got the receipts for you, Steve, because you say I'm a bad fantasy football coach. And first of all, you take a look at that chat. You can share your screen. What team is projected? The stats, the numbers don't lie. What team is projected to finish first?
I don't know.
Motivation.
That's
Football
a
team.
statistical anomaly.
it's
No.
it's unfortunately true, Steve. He's projected #1 as of week 0.
All right, so let's get into his team since we're talking about teams. Since we actually finally have one of the league here, and it's kind of funny that I said the league because that's the stupid fucking thing on its own. But here you are, a member of the Lightning League, the Lightning Dome League. You're the first coach to come on tonight. Me and Kid Lat have been having a great time. I mean, we have changed the dynamic of Kid Lat and the big guy, taking it to a whole new place here on Zoom. And now you show up with your monkey face and you're going to try to talk some shit. Why is your team going to win? Who do you have that makes any sense?
I mean, Steve, let me tell you this. I'm playing in 4 leagues this year. I know a lot of people
seems like 3 too many for a child like you.
Well, I was going to say, I know a lot of people might, be crazy. They're playing 7 leagues. That's rookie numbers, but you're going to get them confused. Right. Kid Lat. I don't know how many crazy, but I feel better about my team in this league with how many guys are in this league? 18?
Yeah, it was one of the hardest drafts I've ever had because by the time we were in the last 3 rounds, there was just like, okay, I'll just take this guy.
I feel better about my 18-man league team than my 12-man league team. It's just I feel that I got the most value in the later rounds.
Jesus Christ.
I just believe it.
I guess you shit talk in sweatshirts as opposed to khakis as well. It doesn't make any difference. You smug little prick. All right. So who was the last person you picked? If we're talking about you having golden, who was the last fucker that signed up for team motivation?
Let me take a look at my roster here.
Oh, we don't know our rosters. Well, that's certainly encouraging.
As we said,
I'm going to win the league, but I have no idea who the fuck I have on my team. That is a bad look.
No, I got 4 teams. I gotta look at my roster and see who was the last person that I picked on this roster.
Okay, you get back to us when you're done researching your facts there.
I have them pulled up. I'll say this. I mean, say what we will about the history between me and Mike and our feuded hatred. When somebody knows ball, you gotta admit when they know ball. And a lot of the formation of this league was just assembling wrestling personalities who I knew football. And Mike was like the first to come to mind.
Well, I mean, you're right.
He knows balls.
Mike knows balls. I mean, surrounded by him. Yes. He's got bro balls. He's got Russell balls. He probably has Russell's balls more than Brittany does. But that's
not anymore.
That is a whole other fucking thing. And now Mike's in the dark where he spends half of his time. Oh, he's
not
back.
Anymore. Russell, after he lost those trios titles for us, we removed him from the big leagues. So.
I was there. I saw the whole thing.
Yeah, so we took care of the weakling in the group, and we'll get those trios titles back.
I was unconscious. I don't remember a lot of that IPW show. I have discovered that going to IPW after working for Frontline on a Saturday night is a really bad career move. I fell asleep during Rion's meeting. I don't know how many people noticed that. But I was unconscious.
Brutal 2 days.
Terrible. I'm old. You're young. You should be used to this shit. I need a nap. Getting home at 3 a.m. after driving that fucking brutal drive. I must be out of my fucking mind. But that's neither here nor there. And show me that title again. Is that one half of the tag team titles? Kid Lat and the Big Guy.
Is.
Have you downloaded? Have you downloaded your copy of Kid Lat and the Big Guy, the song on Spotify? You totally should. It's a hit.
It's in the works. I didn't want to draw too much attention away from the league, so I had it off to the side, but this is my baby, so.
Hey.
A nice title.
If you know, you know. Front line is where it's at.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about the teams. Let's talk about Motivation Mike's fuckboy team.
All right.
The one that's picked to win everything. I can't wait to hear this team. I will shoot down every fucking member of your team you have. I will tell you why they're going to suck.
All right. CJ Stroud.
Tell us how CJ Stroud sucks, Steve.
Probably won't suck. Okay, I'll give you that. That's a solid pick. As long as he's throwing to Tank Dell, I'll be okay with you getting points.
What about Jahmyr Gibbs?
Fuck Jahmyr Gibbs. Fuck the Lions. They're a one-trick pony. They won't win 5 games this year.
What about Jamar Chase?
Well, that all depends on if Joe Burrow can get his head out of his ass and his bleach blonde hair. If your quarterback can't throw, you ain't gonna have any touchdowns. So you got some issues there, Mike. I'm not overly optimistic about your team.
Well, a lot of fantasy games come down to 1 or 2 points, and I got the number 3 ranked fantasy defense in the league, the Browns, as well as the best kicker in the league, Justin Tucker. Those are the types of players that close the gaps.
I feel like Justin Tucker and Harrison Butker are a wash. It's like a 1A, 1B thing.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and you know where Harrison Butker resides. Yeah.
I do.
Let me put it in sounds you understand, Mr. Wrestle League. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, Drake London.
Is that like the 3rd string running back in New England?
No, he's the 1st string. He's a starter. He's very good.
Well, he might get some carries because they don't have a quarterback that can throw pretty much.
Drake London was that was the Motivation Mike pickup where I was most impressed because I think that's gonna be he's such a sleeper now that Kirk Cousins is on the Falcons.
You're right. That is a compelling pick. That is a high risk, high reward because if Kirk Cousins comes out and does what he has done, and there isn't a period where he's got to adjust to that offense, he could be the Justin Jefferson this year. So I'll give you Stroud and I'll give you London, but the rest of it you can fuck yourself.
All right.
Let's keep going.
We got 1 week to to see who's
who else you got there, Mikey? Who else you got
on the bench? I got Mostert.
I would start him over Ramondre Stevenson.
Kendre Miller. Jalen Wright.
Before we start to taper off a little bit.
Yeah.
Taper off or fall off a fucking cliff.
You ever heard of Zach Charbonnet?
Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, he's the Seahawks guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope he gets 0 touches ever. I was
going to say that's my backup QB. So if CJ Stroud goes down, I'm either riding with him or Daniel Jones off waivers probably. So.
All right. So maybe statistically you're number 1, but I heard you say you've got I have trouble putting any kind of legitimacy by anything with the Browns in the title. I know they're a good defense. I've seen it, but
just a small part.
At any moment, the Browns can self-destruct, just like the Bears can. At any moment, it can go kablooey.
That's why I don't have any Bears players on my team as much as I wanted to. It makes me root for them more, but I have no Bears players on my team and no Packers players on my team because I cannot bring myself to want the Packers or any of their players to do well.
One year I had Aaron Rodgers as my fantasy quarterback, and it was the worst football year of my life. Not only were the Bears shit, which is, pretty much standard operating procedure in those days, but I hated the Packers to the point where every time he'd do good, I would be depressed, but I would be winning at fantasy football. So it was a very bipolar experience that I would not recommend to anybody. If you hate a team, don't take their players because rooting is very difficult.
Yeah, I feel like this might have been the same season because the one year I had Aaron Rodgers at starting quarterback, the Bears were terrible. The Packers were good. This could have been any season, honestly, now that we're talking. But, we ended up, it was the only time I won the fantasy football championship, and that kind of pains me to say that Aaron Rodgers was probably the guy to bring that Lombardi trophy to me. But you know, really just can't stand any I'm speechless.
So you're not a big Jordan Love fan. He's not on your radar.
On my radar, how?
As like maybe picking him up, like making a trade for whoever's got him.
No.
I mean,
I wouldn't
he'd be
trade
better
for
than
Jordan
Zach
Love.
Charbonnet.
Yeah, but I wouldn't take him.
That's solid. I respect your your morals. I do.
Good.
I'm gonna go ahead and enrage notable Packers fans like Flash Harris and Skylar Reed and Ben the Creator McCoy.
First of all, you just mentioned three of the biggest pieces of shit in our league. Flash fucking Harris. Fuck you and your Packers, you fucking bitch.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead.
Skylar Reed, doesn't he a fan of the Montreal Alouettes? Doesn't he watch football in fucking Canada? Get the fuck out of the United States, Skylar. And then Ben McCoy. You can take a big can of fuck yourself and get right out of our league, creator. This is a no creator league, you piece of shit. Okay, I'm done.
But I was gonna say, unfortunately, as Jordan Love is unfortunately a good talent.
Did they have to have a circle jerk to see who was going to get him? Don't visualize that. Do not visualize that. It's bad karma.
But I'm just saying, in terms of fantasy, I think he's gonna disappoint a lot of people. Jordan Love. I don't think he doesn't have like if you look at the Packers' weapons, it's not like anything that spectacular.
Everybody is so excited about Watson, and I'm like,
yeah, Christian Watson's not that good.
Right.
I know.
He sucks.
Thanks, Mike.
Well, at least Mike is
the one.
I can agree with Mike on that, perhaps.
The one Packer receiver who I'm like sort of like this guy's got good upside. I was actually even considering him is Jaden Reed.
Nope, he sucks.
It certainly he sucks. Yeah, I'm starting to like Mike a little bit more now. Maybe I was a little too hasty and shit canning.
Oh, not me.
He actually showed up, so I can't call him a coward like I can call the Flash. Flash fucking Harris. I'm a dad. I got no time. Fuck you, Flash. Skylar Reed. I got things to do. Fuck you, Skylar. And Ben McCoy wouldn't dare come on this show because he knows that when we meet again, and we will meet again, I got a receipt for that chair shot that has been watched almost 4,000 times now. Did you know that footage has got 4,000 views on Facebook?
Yeah, I've been keeping up.
That's some crazy shit. It's either people hate him or people hate me, or maybe it's both. And they just are happy to see me die and him be evil. I don't know. It's hard to explain. So I think that all three of those people will be that'll be the final three teams in our league. They'll be in last place. I think Ben McCoy is the bottom of the cellar. I think Flash Harris will be right in front of him. And then I think Skylar Reed will, maybe Skylar Reed's in the middle of the pack.
The thing about Skylar Reed is I do know that he knows ball very
Can
well.
he function without Devin August, literally? I mean, I thought they shared the same brain. Is he in this league too?
He unfortunately is not. He didn't make the draft time, but
well, that'll make the smell better at least. So we got that going for us.
Do we have a punishment?
We could talk about. I was thinking this is more of just a For Glory type thing within the.
Well,
I didn't want to,
of course, but I mean the loser should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah,
I think we have to make the loser, the last place team in the league, do something embarrassing publicly.
I don't know. They have to.
We got to come up with something.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the?
I'm looking at Mr. Maple Leaf's team here. I haven't pulled up. He's kind of got a squad on him. I can't lie to
you. Motivation Mike said he's got a squad on himself, and I was unimpressed. Well, I mean, I was kind of impressed with some. All right, who's Skylar got?
So, okay, starting top to bottom, he's got Dak Prescott at quarterback. I think Dak Prescott.
Why is that even a good thing? He's past his prime. It's over.
Underrated fantasy quarterback. He was like top 3 scorer last year.
Overrated actual quarterback. Dak Prescott is overrated as a fantasy quarterback. He is quite the scorer. I unfortunately had the misfortune of trading him from my team last year for a little Matt Stafford, Aaron Jones combo, which I deeply paid the price for in my family.
What is the name of Skylar Reed's team?
Canada is always on top is the name of the team.
God help us all. Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
Another
JT
person to believe in Jonathan Taylor. Can we stop believing in Jonathan Taylor?
I like Jonathan Taylor.
Can we just stop?
I had him as breakout year.
Seven
Love
games.
that guy.
7 games, he'll be great. And then the other 9, he will be unavailable.
He's got Garrett Wilson, who could be absolutely an insane pickup if Aaron Rodgers turns out in the Jets system.
If
I passed on Garrett Wilson for Puka just because I'm such a big Puka Nacua fan.
Well, you guys have a very. If you were an NFL football player, Kid Lat, you would be Puka Nacua.
I love that. That's awesome.
I feel like that's 100%. And Mike would be Cairo Santos.
I don't know. I thought you'd say it was something.
That was so offensive. I'm sorry. On me.
Well, hey, Cairo Santos, one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL, so I'll take it.
He's not Harrison Butker.
Oh, well, I'll take Cairo Santos. And, speaking of Cairo Santos, the final episode of Bears Hard Knocks comes out in 4 minutes, and I'm about to go watch that.
All right, let's talk about Hard Knocks for just a minute. It should not be called Hard Knocks. It has not borne any resemblance to any of the Hard Knocks that have come before it. It is the Caleb Williams show. It is the biggest advertisement. It sells Caleb Williams jerseys. It's like that's its single motivational point, to put it in terms you'll understand.
Probably is.
It's a fluff piece. I mean, don't you? I mean, it's don't get me wrong. I've loved every second of it. I mean, because it's made me feel great about life, but it's almost like they're trying to sell it too hard.
I don't know. I just want to run through a brick wall when I see it.
100%. They get you all in the. And what about that Jordan introduction for Caleb Williams? I mean, did they hit every Chicago sports fan right in the feels? I said feels, not fields. To be clear. To be very clear. So I'm not going to hold you. I know you guys want to get in and watch Hard Knocks, as do I. But I'm looking at Canada's always on top. It's certainly a better team than Motivation Mike's.
It's debatable. I mean, I think they're both unfortunately top end teams in this league.
I mean, he's got a pretty solid receiver room.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, you figure Kyler Murray is gonna do pretty well purposing Marvin Harrison Jr. You figure he's gonna have some catches.
He's got Evan Ingram, which is a great fantasy tight end. Michael Pittman Jr. is a flex. That's a great flex. Yeah, this is definitely a squad. The only really knock is like the questions if Zach Moss is going to get the touches in Cincy.
Oh, he's got Nick Chubb, who's out. Shocking.
Well, when he comes back, that's crazy. He's gonna have a really complete squad. Nick Chubb comes back.
Yeah, he took a runner. That may not be bad. Okay, so I get him. But where are we gonna go next, Lat? There's Team Motivation, Mike Ditka. I actually do kind of like that name. That's pretty clever. I'm with you there. I mean,
I thought long and hard about it.
You lost me. I'm sure you thought hard. Ramondre Stevenson, you lost me there. I think that's I think that's hilarious. Hilariously bad.
No, just watch. Just watch.
Let's look at the C-Red and Kenny 9 matchup.
All right, I'm about to dip you guys watching this Hard Knocks, but it was great talking with you guys, and we'll see in just a couple of weeks.
Thanks for not being a shivering bitch and showing up on this show, but in the end, it will always be the same. Go f yourself.
I don't know what to say. Thank you, I guess. That's a compliment coming from you, Steve. Thank you.
Not so sure that's true.
Not everybody gets that.
Thanks, Mike. Get your khaki ass off the air and go watch your goddamn show.
Oh, God.
Poor Mike.
Every time I see him, I think I'm going to like him a little more, and I don't.
No. I told everybody in the chat that I was going full-on heel promo this whole show. And I'm not going after you because you're my boy, but everybody else can fuck them. And see, right, my partner on this show for 3 fucking years blew off the fantasy. Now, I will preface this by saying that his wife has been having medical situations. So I'm going to hold off, and I'll give Red shit if he says, "Oh, I had a fraternity thing," or something like that.
Right.
But we hope that C Red's lovely wife is convalescing well. We hope that his mom's well. C Red hardly ever misses a show, so I'm sure that there's something going on because I haven't heard from him all day. So C Red, we hope you are well, and we look forward to talking to you and shit talking with you at football. But let's talk about his team since he's not here.
Yeah. So here, real top heavy. I mean, you got, of course, he had the first overall pick, so he had CMC. You can never go wrong. Christian McCaffrey. He's got a great quarterback and Jalen Hurts, a great fantasy quarterback every time.
What is the name of his team?
It's I Am Iron Man.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's going through a Marvel phase. I'm gonna Thanos snap your ass when I get you, Red.
There you go.
All right, so he's got Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts is established, proven, and was a significantly good fantasy football player last year. Yes. McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
But then we start to fall off.
Montgomery, he hates the Bears, yet he took Montgomery, and he's not even a Bear anymore. He's a Lion. That's dumb.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great running back too. I mean, I get it's a deep league, so you can take what you could get. But then we get to his wide receivers, and then if this was any other year, Stephon Diggs would be a great pickup. That'd be a great number one. However, it's 2024 going to our 2025 season, and he's on the Texans. We don't even know if he's going to be the one on the team. That's a stacked receiver room with Nico Collins and Tank Dell. So we don't even know if Stephon Diggs, as talented as he is going to be the one.
Here's the problem with it. We know that Stroud is very comfortable with Tank.
Yes.
And his receive, because they were great. Collins and Dell were great last year for him. And obviously getting a prolific wide receiver, I mean, that's the equivalent of us getting Keenan Allen. I mean, this guy is as Pro Bowl as you get. Yes, how does he transition on his new team? How does he handle getting the ball from a young quarterback? Obviously, who he's been playing with, Kirk Cousins when he was in Minnesota, and Josh Allen. Now, great quarterbacks have a way of making receivers better. And you can talk about historically great receivers like Randy Moss. When was the best period of Randy Moss's career?
His Vikings run. I
disagree. Randy Moss set single season records when Tom Brady was throwing him.
Yeah, okay. Talking about 07 Pats. Okay.
So
I see it.
His banner year. I mean, he had great years. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying that he's not great. I'm just saying that if you have a quarterback that is prolific throwing to you, that makes you better as a receiver. And Stephon Diggs has had the benefit of having great quarterback play.
Yes.
DJ Stroud looks to be a great quarterback. Certainly his first year was unheard of in modern NFL, a rookie to do that. But this is the sophomore year. You got to worry about the sophomore slump. You got to worry about that he's an outsider now coming on this team. So there's a lot of reasons why that's a risky pick to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes down really. He had Josh Allen the past 3 years throwing the ball, right? And in his last year on the Bills, he wasn't getting the volume he wanted, and he sort of became a little bit of a locker room diva, and that's the reason he kind of wanted out. And you have to wonder if a guy like Josh Allen in a situation where you're the number one target, undisputedly, if you're not happy in that situation, what makes you think that you're going to be more happy with a second-year quarterback with two other stud wide receivers in the room with you who are going to get debatably more targets? That's sort of where I am with Stephon Diggs.
So that's one of his receivers. And then is Rice even out of prison yet? Or does he still wear an ankle bracelet? I mean, what's going on with Rice?
I don't know if there was ever an arrest made. I know of the whole situation.
I mean, it's pretty bad luck to have a felon as a wide receiver, right?
Yeah, certainly. But the thing about Rashee Rice, I will say, is that, as much as Mr. Red's team struggles in other aspects, having Rashee Rice as wide receiver 2, which as of now, unless Xavier Worthy breaks out, which I have my doubts about Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice is the second option on the team besides Travis Kelce. He's the wide receiver 1. So, that's a pretty good receiver too. When we get to tight end, though, this is where I'm really concerned for Red. He's got Taysom Hill as a tight end, who's not even really a traditional tight end. He's going to be on the field every play.
You get points for throwing the football and running the football at tight end?
So you do. So Taysom Hill will get you that. However, it's like every year with Taysom Hill, I've had Taysom Hill on teams more so in years where he's gotten more quarterback snaps. But his production as a tight end is so far and in between, like where the only points he's going to get is when he's that gadget guy where he's like rushing on the goal line or in at QB. So Taysom Hill is never a great fantasy option to have, especially as your tight end 1.
But he's Red's tight end 1. I mean, he's got Dawson Knox. I mean, I might start Dawson Knox over Taysom Hill.
I would too, but even in that situation, Dawson Knox is not the tight end 1 on the Bills either. It's Dalton Kincaid.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
His tight end situation is a bit of a mess, and then we get to flex, and his flex is Jacoby Myers, which again, this is just not a great situation. We're like,
Jacoby Myers didn't really bring it home hard in New England, and now he's going to be out there.
Yeah. He's got Gardner Minshew throwing him the ball, and I love Gardner Minshew. I love him. In terms of like mid to bad quarterbacks, Gardner Minshew is one of my favorite mid to bad quarterbacks. I love him, but come on.
So I am Iron Man. Again, much like Motivation Mike's team, it's a high risk. I guess all of our teams are pretty high risk, high reward.
Which is the nature of this type of league, obviously. Yeah. But with Motivation Mike, with the previous teams we've looked at, I'm especially Mike and Skyler, those are teams where I'm like, wow, they did a good job accounting for like having to have depth here and assembling like a good squad. Red's team, as much as I love him, and I'm not trying to start any drama on my part. I'm the commissioner. You guys do the drama part. But
that's my calling card.
Right. This is the first team where I'm looking like, there's some things here. There's some concerns.
Countdown to 9 is the team that you guys that you tried to salvage after he made some mistakes. So obviously Patrick Mahomes is going to get you all the points a quarterback can get you. He's been doing it for the last 5 years. I've had him 3 of the last 5 years, and every time he plays, he's putting up significant fantasy numbers. He is a fantasy cow.
Right. Quarterback 1.
We don't know what Derrick Henry is going to look like in Baltimore. No. It certainly could be a good fit because they've had fairly mediocre running backs, but again, it's a new guy on a new team, and he's usually the superstar. How is he going to exist not being that guy?
So I'm actually pretty high on Derrick Henry this year than other years. I was talking to Joey Blues about this.
Why would you talk to Joey Blues? You're just dumber for the experience.
Yeah,
I talk to Joey Blues, I'm like, God, I feel like I lost some brain cells. And that's not just by breathing in the air he breathes.
He's a big Derrick Henry on the Ravens guy. Like, he's like, this is a good situation for him. And I do agree. The Ravens are just straight up going to have the best run game in the league now.
Well, you can't not have it. You can't not have it. But,
they got Lamar and
you're going to force Lamar Jackson to have to be a passer because with all those running options, teams are going to load that box up until he can pull the top off the defense.
But at the same time, now with Derrick Henry in previous years where you've had J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, where the Ravens they love running the read option. They always have. But in previous years, it's been a read between Lamar Jackson and some running back who wouldn't necessarily start on other teams. Now you have a superstar. So now you're going to have teams guessing.
You have an old superstar. You have an old
superstar nonetheless, though.
An injury-plagued superstar. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's true. I think that the Ravens' run game this year is going to be very beneficial for both Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
That is certainly a possibility. We'll have to wait and see. That's why they play the games. Does he have some sort of ownership affiliation with the Washington Redskins? Because I'm sorry, not the Redskins, the Commanders.
The Commanders, yes.
Because he's got some Commanders in high impact places. Why are you drafting these guys so high in the rounds?
Well, Steve, when you accidentally draft back-to-back backup quarterbacks, you're gonna have sort of a little slimmer pickings at other positions. And that we
Wow.
see that here. We see that here on his team.
Are we hoping that
Honestly,
Jaden Daniels is the greatest quarterback in the history of the world? Is that what he's banking on?
what I'm looking at here is where Steve or we're sorry, where Red was top heavy. 9 is sort of also very top heavy, but his like lower half is a lot weaker than Red is. Like it's more of a gap here. He's got Mahomes, he's got Derrick Henry, similar to the McCaffrey hurt situation we see with Red. But we fall off a cliff almost immediately here with Brian Robinson. Got Terry as your 1. I don't love that.
I don't love that.
Deontay Johnson as your 2. Don't love that. Dallas Goedert's a good tight end. He's a very solid on the Eagles.
And then he's questionable right now. He's already dinged up, and he's probably played 7 snaps in the preseason.
Right. I'll say this. He's got Tyler Bass at kicker. I love to see Tyler Bass anytime I see him. Buffalo kicker. I've had him in the past. He's put off some double-digit games. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Rocking with the Vikings D to start off. I don't know.
No,
I don't know about that.
I'm gonna twist my my attention to Purple Poppy.
Oh, yeah.
I think this guy has an outside shot to run away with our league.
Wow.
That is a fairly stout starting lineup. For as many people we have in this league, if you're going lineup to lineup, I don't want to play him.
Yeah, I mean, let's break it down. Tyreek Hill, obviously, amazing pick.
Jacobs.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs.
He's in Green Bay now, and we all saw what Aaron Jones and that community of running backs can do. And now he's an every down workhorse back, so he's going to get all the carries.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw A.J. Dillon, who's the running back 2 on the Packers, is out now. So this is just going to be straight up Josh Jacobs running the ball if it's not Jordan Love throwing.
And if you're a fantasy football owner, that is what you want. You want all the touches.
All the touches. George Pickens as his receiver 2, I love. Let me talk about George
Pickens. Did you walk right
period.
past the second running back? Why did you walk right past him? Could it be because he had 3 carries in the preseason and 1 pass caught?
So here's the thing about DeAndre Swift. As a Bears fan, he is like sort of a name now, DeAndre Swift. He's had a couple seasons on the Eagles where he was a guy. He's sort of a pretty good player. He was on the Lions before, kind of struggled there slightly. He wasn't amazing his rookie year by any means. Now he's on the Bears, and I like him as a player. I like DeAndre Swift. I think he's gonna add a good level to our like as a pass catching back. He's pretty good. We saw like the huge flip that Caleb had to him in the preseason. We love that. As a pure runner, he's not perfect, but he's good enough. But as a fantasy player, I'm just not really high on DeAndre Swift just because of the nature of the Bears' offense is going to be presumably pass heavy, with our receiver core. And then at that, we have Caleb, who already has the wheels himself. He's going to take touches away from Swift as well.
I think that is going to be a little different because I kind of feel like the Bears are going to come out of the chute and they're going to run a lot because Shane Waldron had running back by committee in Seattle and they ran the ball a lot. And the running game is what made Geno Smith effective because Geno Smith was a play action quarterback, get him out of the pocket. So you've got Caleb Williams, who I think long run will be a better version of Geno Smith, or of that. He's that style player. It fits well for Shane Waldron, but unless they're going to do running back by committee and have Roshan and Khalil Herbert all get equal touches, I think this is a pick that has kind of gone a little bit unnoticed. Haven't heard a lot about him on Hard Knocks. Haven't heard a lot about him in the media. He's just kind of moving under the radar. This is the kind of guy that could rush for 70 yards and catch for 80 yards for a couple of touchdowns in that opener. And then everybody's going to know who the fuck DeAndre Swift is. See, Ryan Poles, I kind of feel running backs are his thing because he has put us in a position where we can just rotate him around and still do well. So I think that might be a better pick than you think. What about Brock Purdy as the quarterback? I mean, he's great. Are you sold?
You just got to think with the Niners system that Purdy's going to put up numbers regardless. It's pretty easy to feel
Even with a upset Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm thinking the way it's turning out, it's looking like Ayuk is going to return to the Niners though, because
yes.
when the talks with Pittsburgh, it's either going to go one or two ways. He's either coming back to the Niners or he's going to go to the Commanders, which either way, I think it'll be a decent situation for him. Hopefully for Mr. Matt Nix's sake here, he stays with the Niners. But I mean, even with an Ayuk departure, you still got Debo, you still got C-Mac, you still got Kittle. Yeah. It's hard to hate Ayuk, or it's hard to hate Purdy as a fantasy option, I think.
So, I mean, Pickens is a good wide receiver, assuming that somebody can throw him the football.
Yeah, presumably that's the issue.
Russell Wilson will be that guy. It seems unlikely that Justin is going to start because he had an abysmal preseason. But like I said, they signed Russell Wilson to be their guy. So I think Tomlin kind of had that thing, and I think they got Justin Fields because he can do Russell Wilson like things. So you don't gotta dumb down the offense when the backup comes in. You can still be aggressive and run that read option. So it all depends on what you get out of the quarterback position. But Kyle Pitts at tight end, especially now with Kirk Cousins throwing the football. I mean, he made careers for tight ends wherever he was.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Kyle Pitts previous years, we've been banking on a breakout for a while, but I mean, you got to consider in those years he started off with Matt Ryan, to be fair, but until then,
that was the Matt Ryan in the twilight.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, not a great version of Matt Ryan.
Yeah. Taylor Heineke is not going to get it done ever.
No, Desmond Ritter is not going to get it.
Nope. No. So now he's got, not only does he have, Cousins, but you've got the kid, assuming if Cousins goes down at any point.
Yeah, Michael Penix. I love him as a talent too. You gotta think that if a Kyle Pitts breakout year is gonna happen,
it's
gonna be now.
It's got to be now. And then your flex is Christian Watson, and Jordan Love does what they think Jordan Love's going to do. Again, Purple. Who's Purple Poppy? Who's the coach?
That's Matt Nix. That's the owner of Freelance.
He owns Freelance, huh?
Yeah.
Give a brother a job at commentary at Freelance. Give me a tryout at least. Let me at least take a shot. I went to a Freelance show when Jet Avalon and Sierra having that war with Laney and GPA. That was one of the most electrifying crowds I've ever seen. That place, that venue is that Logan Square Auditorium when Freelance is there is so fucking hot. I couldn't even believe it.
Right.
So
no, definitely.
Give a brother a job if you watch this, but he won't. Wrestling is all about friendships. It's not about actual talent. But that's neither here nor there. So Mr. Nix, despite having a great promotion, I think you might have the champions of this league, assuming Caleb doesn't do Caleb things. We talked about the Straight Edge Society. There's a lot on that team to like.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, again, Anthony Richardson. Good upside.
St. Brown, Olave, Kincaid, Waddle. Yeah. I mean, he's got skilled players. Shane seems to be a pretty good, solid running back.
Anything connected to the Dolphins' offense, seems to just get you 40 points a game.
It just seems to. And then he got Miami's defense, so good luck with that. And then he's got the Denver running back. I don't know how good that is. Does he have any other good running backs? Well, he's got Blake Corum. And I think that might be one of the sleepers in the draft.
Also, if you notice, he also has Gus Edwards from the Chargers. And although I'm not the biggest Gus Edwards fan as a talent, you got to consider now that Harbaugh is coaching the Chargers, they're going to run the ball really heavily. And I believe Gus Edwards is either the 2 behind J.K. Dobbins or the 1.
Okay. And then you got Jaden Daniels as a backup quarterback in case Richard that's. Okay. All right, kid. All right, Johnny Chaos. I'm gonna change your team's name. It's terrible. It's a terrible team name. Who's Badassy?
Let me check
Badassy,
here.
what does that even mean?
That's Flash.
That's Flash?
Yeah,
Flash's QB1 is Kirk Cousins?
sure is.
That makes Flash Harris the whitest man in America. Just that pick. The fact that he took Kirk Cousins. Flash, you are so fucking Caucasian, it scares people. From the Cosby sweaters to Kirk Cousins, honky. That's who you are. Isaiah Pacheco. I love Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
you,
like him
Flash,
too.
for having that. Flash has got good running backs. That is a solid running back room. Connor and Pacheco.
Yeah, I'm sort of hoping Connor goes out. Not goes out, but I'm sort of hoping Trey Benson, the rookie that the Cardinals drafted, sort of takes over at some point because I do have him on my bench. But I mean, Connor is a good running back.
I hate the fact that Flash Harris could win this. He's
a solid
deep.
team.
He's deep. Nico Collins.
Yeah, love Nico.
Brown. Oh, well,
can't go wrong with AJ Brown as a receiver.
That's pretty good. That's a Green Bay defense. That's where we're gonna get you. That's where we're gonna.
And I think his most valuable pickup, if you look at his flex, he's got Debo. Already, Debo as a base, like enough on his like even if say Ayuk stays, Debo already gets enough touches to warrant more than a flex spot.
100%.
But in the event that Ayuk goes, we're gonna be looking back at that pickup as one of the premier pickups of the draft because he's gonna be a wide receiver one in the Niners offense as a gadget player too, where he's gonna get running back reps. Debo's that's a great pickup.
So, all right, as much as Caucasian as I feel Flash Harris is, that's a pretty good team. The LIM, God, I hate that he's got a good team. I hate it. This is going to make me feel weird. I don't want to give him any credit at all, but that's a pretty solid team.
Here's my grievances with Pac's team.
Kelly Elliott is garbage. That is a terrible. He is so far past his prime. And I'm not so sure Kamara's not far behind him. So his running backs are a liability to me.
I was going to say he kind of has the bingo halls over here in the running back room.
Yeah.
They're sort of the retirement home. And that doesn't fill you.
I think the last time PX was actually happy in his life was when those two were in their prime. It's been a few years for Pack.
And then you look at receiver. And, okay, I love Rome. I'm a Bears fan, obviously. No matter how you shake it, though, Rome Odunze is a wide receiver 3, and he's running him out as his number 1 right now. So
it's typical LIM. He drafted while drunk. But again, if Rome becomes the target that he wants to go to, that could be exceptional. Calvin Ridley, I'm not really sold on.
Yeah, the thing is with Ridley is I do believe the talent is there. He's a good player. He does have Will Levis throwing him the ball, who is pretty boomer bust. So you can't love it as your 2 either. But we get to Travis Kelce, and it's like, hey, we're back, right? We got Travis Kelce.
I don't know. I mean, how fucked in the mind is Mr. Swift? You don't know what's going on in him. I mean, he's watching concerts and having promiscuous sex with a pop star. I mean, is he really focused on football? I mean, I bet it's been a really cruel summer for him.
Maybe it's possible. And then T. Higgins as a flex is always great. Actually, I love T. Higgins. That is
great. He's got Buffalo's defense and Kai Fairbairn as the kicker. So, he's got a good top end quarterback. Running backs are a little questionable. I think the wide receivers will be okay. Kelce should be great, assuming he's not wearing Swift on the back of his jersey. So that's the lovely intoxicated men. PX.
This team is gonna live and die by Josh Allen and Travis Kelce. That's really what's gonna come down to for PX.
Who are the slime balls?
So that is Wrestle League prospect DJ, who recently debuted for us against Von Yeager about 2 shows ago at Lincoln Hall. He's certified ball knower. I've known DJ for a while.
How do you think this team works?
I love it. I mean, I love his strong. I mean, it's a very good team. Kyler Murray is my most underrated fantasy quarterback of this year. A lot of people are forgetting how good Kyler Murray is, especially in fantasy with his rushing upside. And he's got Justin Jefferson, he's got Aaron Jones and Kyron Williams. Who are, it's really hard to find a knock on this team, really. maybe you could wish that the bench was stronger. With, he sort of just has Ty J. Spears and Gabe Davis. I know you got Austin Eckler, but he's washed. So,
Yeah,
but I mean,
again, you only need your bench when your starters are not playing.
yeah. So he's got a very solid starting lineup here. You gotta love DJ Moore as your 2. David Njoku is a very underrated tight end. So, yeah, and then Keon Coleman as the flex. He's sort of Keon Coleman at his flex is sort of the way I view Ladd McConkey at my flex, where at base you're not really sure if they're both rookie receivers. You're not certain they're gonna pan out this year, but I mean, if they do, they're gonna be the top options on their team. So that's that. I mean,
Houston
high
defense,
upside pick.
their defense should be good. Gay the kicker, that's solid. So
Yeah.
I got no real issue with the young wrestling kid. Who's to be determined? Who's too busy to find a fucking name?
That's Logan Ross. Brett Duffy, Logan Ross.
All right, let's go down. Matt Stafford is your QB1. Did he draft him in like the 12th round? Because
probably.
Because I know when I was drafting Trevor Lawrence, I was like, should I get Stafford or should I get Lawrence? And I'm like, God, Stafford's got better weapons on the outside, but it's probably going to get hurt. Maybe I better go with Trevor Lawrence. So
yeah,
I could have had Stafford, but that taking your QB1 that late just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. I mean,
a quarterback is your main points getter.
With Matt Stafford, though, it's like you can't absolutely hate it as your one.
No, I don't hate it. I just I feel like that him as your number one, especially the fact that he's injured as often as he is these days. That's definitely his backup. Concern. Maybe he's got a really good backup.
He is rolling out. He doesn't have a backup currently, so he's probably gonna pick him up.
Wow! In Matt Stafford, we trust. Oh my God.
Looking at the other stuff though, I love the running back room here with Bijan Robinson and Travis Etienne, both solid ones. Yeah, I got Mark Andrews at tight end. It's pretty good.
Evans and DK Metcalf, those are solid receivers. Yeah. Andrews is your tight end. Keenan Allen is his flex.
I love that. I love that.
All right. Find 5 minutes to make a fucking team name, man. Find 5 minutes. You can't be that fucking busy. Canada is always on top. We already dealt with that shit. We already dealt with Motivation Mike. Who's Al Bundy?
That is of course Kevin Palmer of Rocket Pro Wrestling.
It's gonna be really hard for me to shit talk Kevin because I love him so dearly.
Well, yeah.
Let's go through it. What do we got?
Jordan Love.
You got Jordan Love.
I have my gripes about that.
But, Kevin, you're a communist. Why would you take Jordan Love? All right. Hall, that's a good running back.
Great. That's running back 2 of the whole league as far as I'm concerned. That's besides Christian McCaffrey. I think he's the second best running back.
Yeah, and then you got White. That's a solid RB2. Zay Flowers, we know the hard way that guy is as good as advertised. You learned a very valuable lesson, sir.
Yeah.
He gave you some tough love last year. And then Malik Neighbors. See, I love Malik Neighbors. I love him coming out of college. Don't know if I love him at wide receiver 2 here because you just don't know who's going to throw to him.
Yeah, and even if we do know who's throwing to him, it's not like any of the options are spectacular.
So he's going to have to really overachieve to be good because you've got such liabilities at quarterback in New York.
Right. I just don't see. I also love Malik as a talent. I mean, any LSU receivers we've known in the past, OBJ, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, they usually tend to turn out in this league. I believe Malik Neighbors will do that too, but just as a fantasy option.
Yeah, they need to get a quarterback.
Yeah. It's not a great look, at least for this year. If I'm him, I'm waiting a little for Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. And then you got Laporta, solid tight end. That's a great pick.
I got Sam Laporta in my family dynasty draft and our rookie draft. I got him in the 3rd round of the rookie draft that year. Absolute steal. He's the best. I love Sam Laporta.
And that's why they traded Hawkinson because they knew what a badass Laporta was. So
right, and Hawkinson's great too. Yeah. Laporta's just that guy.
He's that guy. Smith Najiba as the flex. That's a pretty. If you're gonna have a flex, that's a good flex.
Yeah, I mean, again, another high Just looking at Kevin's team all around, I mean, the big theme here is just high upside. It's a lot of young guys. He could be called the boy wonders himself. Just a lot of young guys who can turn
Goff
out.
is this QB too. So, I mean, you figure that Goff and Love could be interchangeable.
Yeah, I'd start Goff if I'm Kevin.
I think I would too. You got J.K. Dobbins. We were just talking about him being in Harbaugh's offense. He's not even close to being starter, at least right now. At least for this guy.
Jaden Reed as a wide receiver. Is that Jaden Reed? Yeah, Jaden Reed. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about him. I hate the Packers, but Jaden Reed had caught my eye last season. He was never the depth chart until later. Like he had games where Christian Watson went down, so he had to step up. But I believe he's a greater talent as a pure wide receiver than Christian Watson is.
I think you might be right about that. I think you might be right about that. Okay, so Kevin did okay. I can't crap talk Kevin too badly. I still question your loyalty with Jordan Love pick. I didn't know he was a closet Packer fan because he's got plenty of them on this team. I'm gonna have to have a discussion with him next Saturday about that. And then we come to the Kid Lat boy wonders. We haven't talked enough about this. Now I get a chance to see who you have. Barkley on Philadelphia. That is, in my opinion, you did great because I think Barkley with that offensive line is going to have a career year. So I think you're right on the money there. I don't like Walker in Seattle very much because I just think that this guy can't stay healthy, and you need a good solid running back too. So I don't like that pick.
I don't. In retrospect, that is the pick I regret the most, strictly because I didn't account for how the Seahawks been leaving. I know, Shane Waldron, again, we established likes his running back. So with him gone, I don't know how reliable Walker's situation is going to be. I still love him as a talent, but
I think you'll be okay week 1 because they're playing Denver in Seattle. So I think that'll be a good week for him to run the football. So I think you'll be okay week 1. I don't know how going forward you'll be. Nakua and Devontae Adams. That's a solid wide receiver room.
The fact that I have either one of those guys as my receiver too is like pretty. That's
your wide receivers are stout. McBride, assuming Kyler Murray is in good form this year.
Yeah.
Solid pick there. I still like your flex because this guy's coming in with Harbaugh. So he's going to be a Harbaugh guy. Harbaugh drafted him. So anybody that Harbaugh drafted is going to get significant playing time because they're Harbaugh guys. So I like that. I do like that. Chargers defense doesn't thrill me, but it might be okay.
Here's my thought process with that one, though. So the thing with the Chargers defense every year, they get guys, they got Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
They got Khalil Mack. They had the year where they got JC Jackson. They're like, we're going to be so good.
Right.
My issue here, right, is that every single year the Chargers stack up on defensive talent and just through some anomaly just become one of the worst defenses in the league.
It's hard to believe.
But this year, there's a new coaching regime. If you remember in Michigan, Harbaugh was he liked, defensive guy.
He's a defensive guy, and he drafted heavy. He drafted heavily defensively. So a lot of young players on that defense too.
So I'm just hoping with all the talent he has there, he's going to be the one coach that they haven't had. They had Staley and they had Anthony Lynn. They sucked. So hopefully he's going to be the one guy.
Yeah.
He's going to we have the one guy who's going to know how to utilize this defensive talent finally. So that's sort of what I was banking on there.
I'm not feeling your bench all that much.
So a lot of these guys, Leggett, Pearsall, and Adonai Mitchell are all they're all young first-round receivers or first-year receivers.
You are hoping that it's that at least one or two of them are going to hit.
Right. I'm thinking statistically, one of Ladd McConkey, Xavier Leggett, Ricky Pearsall, and Adonai Mitchell, one has to break out. Certain.
you would think that at least the odds are good there. And you're not going to play everybody all the time, so you're hoping for matchup situations.
Right.
I think we've gone through most of them, right? I think we've
Yeah,
I think right.
I think we've covered it for the most
We haven't really done my team, so let's
do it.
let's do the Agents of Chaos. Obviously, you know why I took Caleb. So Caleb, you know that's my number one. I'm riding or dying with him. Cook became such a dominant force on the Buffalo offense.
Yes,
a lot of what Allen likes to do kind of goes through Cook, whether it be the read option, whether it be, you know, screen passes out of the backfield. Cook got a hell of a lot of touches and did real well last year. I'm banking on that with Diggs gone. I'm banking that his role increases. So that was my thought process there.
Certainly see that happening.
White in Vegas was the best available at the time. I can't say that I know a ton about this guy, but he is the RB1 taking the place of Josh Jacobs. There has to be a reason why he's their guy. So, and they're not a running back by committee team. No. So I feel like he's going to get the touches. Hopefully he's going to be good. What do you think, and what do you know about him?
So with Zamir White, talent-wise, I'm not certain about his history, but I know a lot of the outlook on him going into this year was that replacing Josh Jacobs is always a tall task. Josh Jacobs is an excellent running back. But Zamir White's not exactly the highest end talent of a player, but this is one of those picks where you're banking on the situation. You're banking on the fact that he doesn't really have any clear competition in sight. The Raiders with their quarterback situation are going to like to run the ball. So you're kind of hoping for volume here. So I definitely don't hate this pick. I think that's a pretty solid running back room that you've constructed.
But my running back on the bench, I could easily plug in if White doesn't do his thing, assuming he has an impact in Tennessee, like I hope he will. Pollard in Dallas, you can't argue that he wasn't great. When he got touches, he was electric. Now he is taking Derrick Henry's place in Tennessee.
Right. The thing with Tony Pollard is, the talent's there. We do know. A lot of people are high on Tyjae Spears, though, he does have solid competition. So it's going to be a matter of sort of the anti-Zamir White, if we're really going to put into perspective, where, it's not really a talent concern per se, but it is a situational concern.
That is a fair statement. I'm pretty happy with my wide receiver room, assuming that Ayuk comes to terms and we're in a good. I don't know how I'd feel if he ends up on Washington. Maybe that's a great thing for Jaden Daniels, but maybe not so much. I mean, you're taking a runner on a young quarterback, but we're expecting a lot from a young quarterback, so maybe that works. If he comes back to San Francisco, then he's a Pro Bowler, and it should be Pro Bowl situation, right?
Right. Brandon Ayuk's just one of the best receivers in the league. You can never hate him as a wide receiver one. Obviously, it's a risky situation this time around, just with all the drama going around the contract situation.
But I kind of feel like even if he gets traded, he kind of becomes wide receiver one by proxy.
Right. The only risk involved is, are you going to have Brock Purdy or Jaden Daniels throwing him the ball, or are you going to have a washed Russell Wilson or Justin Fields throwing the ball? That's really the risk with the situation.
Oh, God, that sucks. Okay, thank you very much for shit canning that. Smith in Philadelphia, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I saw too.
I took this is where I kind of took a runner. I loved Bowers coming out of Georgia. I thought he was a generational tight end. And if the Bears took him at 9 over a Dunze, I can't say I would be as happy as I am with a Dunze, but I would have been okay.
Brock Bowers obviously is a great tight end talent. My uncle, shout out Tito J if he's listening to this.
If you're listening, you should have been on the show. You're a relative of Kid Lat. Just come on the show.
He lives in Sewanee, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. He's a big Georgia football fan.
Oh, does he have the inside scoop on Bowers?
Yeah, so that he's sort of going back. I remember when I was talking about how much I love George Pickens.
Yes.
Yeah, so coming out of Georgia, I love George Pickens. I loved George Pickens so much. I wanted the Bears to draft George Pickens that year. We came out of that draft with Velus Jones Jr., so not exactly how I wanted that to play out.
Oh,
but,
God.
I'm going with Lad McConkey this year. Obviously, there's something Georgia tends to have like good pass catcher rooms, like just historically. Brock Bowers seems to be this sort of like second coming of Kittle, where he's a great like hybrid of a blocker and pass catching tight end. He seems to just be the prototypical guy in terms of in Georgia talent. And coming out of a school like Georgia, obviously I'm high on them and I believe he's going to be good in this league. I didn't want the Bears taking Bowers by any stretch of the imagination, just because there's no reason for us to have Cole Kmet be our second best tight end on that team. I love Cole Kmet. I think he's great.
I want to love Cole Kmet. I just want him to have that breakout game where he realizes his potential. And I just don't think he's had it yet.
Yeah.
I want him over the middle, running over people like fucking Kelsey and Kittle do.
Right. But with going back to Brock Bowers as add talent, I think that he's going to be a great, fantasy pickup for you. I have no doubt that Brock Bowers is the guy.
I also like the fact that Gardner Minshew is a dink and dunk quarterback, and the tight end up the seam is his favorite pass. So that was part of the reason I got him high, because I had a feeling that he was going to he's going to be Gardner Minshew's comfort food. Right. Assuming the game isn't too fast for him. And then my flex is Tank Dell. I think that's a good solid flex.
I think Tank Dell is I think he's a better receiver than Devontae Smith is. And he's going to be a better fantasy receiver than Devontae Smith is too. I honestly think you have your receiver 2 at flex here. I love Tank Dell. He's one of the best slot receivers in the league.
So, at some point during the year, maybe that will be flipped. That's certainly a possibility. Pittsburgh's defense is always good. Anybody coached by Tomlin defensively.
TJ Watt, dude, that's all you need.
Yeah. So I feel pretty good with that. And as I told motivation dipshit, Harrison Butker is the kicker in the league. I know he likes the Ravens guy, but Butker is a Super Bowl champion kicker. He kicks his ass off. There's going to be opportunities for field goals and extra points all year long.
So we kick generally in fantasy. It is. You have to consider the kicker themselves, obviously, but a big part of it is the offense they're connected to. That's like the majority of who you're drafting, and you got the guy connected to the Chiefs' offense. So it's not really much else you could ask for.
And that's why you take him. What do you think about that bench? I got Pollard. You have some concerns there. I get it. I feel like if Caleb Williams does not have the year I'm hoping he does, I can plug in Trevor Lawrence and not miss too much of a beat.
Well, I hope both Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams are the best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, me too. I love my backup tight end, especially if Aaron Rodgers falls in love with him.
Yeah, Conklin's solid. I'm glad he's I don't think he's ever gonna be your option over Bowers here. He's been in the league for a while. He's sort of just been the Jets tight end who nobody really gives him that much of a second thought. But that could obviously change with new quarterback play. I do have concerns of other parts of your bench. One pick I love is Rashid Shaheed. If you watch New Orleans Saints games, a lot of people love Chris Olave, and Chris Olave is a very good receiver. But Derek Carr's favorite weapon was Rashid Shaheed. He's the deep threat guy. So that
100%, I was very high on that. And I feel like Carolina and that young quarterback developed a strong connection with Thielen. Thielen's old. He's out of the way. But at the time I picked him, I felt that was a pretty solid pick. Dotson just got traded from Washington to Philly. That doesn't help me at all.
Yeah, so Dotson's sort of a Quentin Johnston situation.
Yes.
Like I had with the Chargers, where you really thought he was going to pan out, and there's no reason if Jahan Dotson was a good receiver, there would be no reason for Washington to trade him, because the only weapon Washington really has right now is Terry McLaurin.
Right.
So there is definitely room for what we thought Jahan Dotson would have been on Washington.
And when I took him, he was on Washington.
Right.
And I thought, okay, so he's going to be the wide receiver 2 there. It's even wide receiver 4 on the Eagles.
He's presumably the 3. Presumably. Okay. But, receiver 3 on a team that you already have to worry about scoring between. So here are all the weapons you have to consider now before Jahan Dotson. You have A.J. Brown, You have Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert. You have Jalen Hurts, who's going to be taking goal line touches away from receivers.
100%.
You have Saquon Barkley, who's going to be a part of the passing game, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And now you have Jahan Dotson. So though he's the wide receiver 3, in terms of fantasy, he is the 6th scoring option on his team.
Yeah, so he will not be a member of the Agents of Chaos very much longer. And then Kendrick Bourne is a guy that did some good things for New England, but he's out until the middle of October. So kind of out of mind.
Also with him back, you're starting to see in camp, you're starting to see a lot of young Pats receivers start to come to their own. You have Demario Douglas, you have Jalen Polk, you have and you have a rookie quarterback throwing to him regardless. Oh, well, okay. They might not necessarily start Drake May. They have Jacoby Brissett, who they might roll out also.
That's what I heard.
You know, Kendrick Bourne is a good receiver. I still remember when Kendrick Bourne was on the Niners in 2019. I liked him then. So, I mean, Kendrick Bourne's good. You just sort of have to wait and see how these rookie receivers are going to turn out with competition.
I'm satisfied but nervous about my team. I feel it's got some good things. I feel it's got some weak links. So we'll see how it plays out as the year goes on.
Of course. And that's going to be the theme with everybody here, you know, with a league of this nature. You know,
it's such a big league. The draft was one of the most uncomfortable situations. The end of that draft, I'm just like, well, fuck it. I'm like, all right, Kendrick Bourne. All right, Jahan Dotson. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Commissioner, before we close this out, leave us with some advice. If you're playing fantasy football, what are the things you see this season?
So sort of, I guess what I want to drive the point home with is that with any league, you know, what's going to win you leagues is not going to be the first couple picks of studs that everybody gets. You know, what wins deep leagues like this one are going to be the Puka Nakuas that you find, not this year, because I drafted him like second round this year, but like later, those later on guys who you take flyers on who might be something, you know. If Rashid Shaheed for some reason becomes the de facto one on the Saints, beats out Chris Olave, you're going to have drafted a solid wide receiver 1 on your bench in like the 7th round, which that's going to be something crazy. You know, we're looking at teams where, of course, everybody's going to have their 1 or 2 studs. But what's going to become a league winner is the term for these guys are going to be those rookies or those guys you really have a second thought about who turn out to be the guy all of a sudden.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm just excited to see this season who those are going to be. I'm very thankful. Thank you to everybody who's part of this league. You know, we said at the beginning, wrestling and football, those are my 2 loves, you know. And wrestling.
We got to change the name of the league. We got to change we got to change it. It's no longer the Lightning Dome. It's the Shivering Bitches, because only motivational Mike showed up tonight.
Right.
Fuck you, Flash Harris, wherever you are, with a giant rubber dick. Fuck you. Okay. Kid Lat, thank you so much for coming in tonight and talking football with me. I haven't done a sports oriented show in like 2 years. So this was fun for me. This is what I love to talk about. So to have somebody that is established and is knowledgeable about football as you to spitball back and forth, I feel like we could have been sitting in chairs waiting for a wrestling show to start and had this conversation and enjoyed it.
Obviously, and we have had football conversations and that's the basis of this league. Again, these are guys who I've been in locker rooms before, spitballing football about, and now we finally have something physical to show for it. So.
And now there's going to be fights at the Frontline show in September. Some bitches are going to get beat up. That's how there's going to be animosity the whole year. And I'm calling everybody out week to week. Whenever I play you, I'm coming for you. But that's a subject for another show. Kid Lat, you're one of my favorites. You're one of the best. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sorry the rest of the crew wasn't here tonight.
No problem.
Apparently, they think we're doing the Power Hour on Wednesday this week. So I'm going to be surprised tomorrow when they try to log in.
Right.
All right. That's it for the Power Hour. Say goodnight, Kid Lat.
Good night, Power Hour fans. Thank you for having me.
All right. We will see you next week. Take it slow and make sure you draft Caleb Williams #1 in your draft. It's the only sensible thing to do. Good night, everybody.
Good night.